If you happy and you know, please clap your hand. I love that. One more time, okay? If you happy and you know, please clap your hand. Thank you. A big round of applause for every one of you. I love that. It's like to recheck that every one of you are already ready for our second day. Are you ready? Yes, of course. So right now, we'd like to welcome every one of you to our second day of our ASEAN Carbon Pricing Conference. And today, let me tell you a little bit about our brief agenda of what we are going to do today. The morning section, we are going to start with our keynote speaker, and then we will have two more panel discussion. Then we will have the closing remarks, and we will join having lunch together in the same room on the fifth floor. Then after that, in the afternoon, if you don't have any mission to go anywhere else, if you have your free time, I would like to encourage every one of you to join us because we provide you a very special section that is called UK Net Zero Engagement Lead Skill Chairs by Miss Emma Ovens. She's going to share her experience. And of course, I would like to encourage every one of you to join us, especially for all the ASEAN delegates. It's very important topics for every one of us over here. So let's join us if you have free time in the afternoon section, okay? So let's start our first section, which is our keynote speech on International Market-Based Cooperation Introduction and Status Update by Mr. Yen Raczynski, RCC Asia Pacific regional expert on Article 6 to support the implementations of the Paris Agreement at the UNFCCC IGES Regional Cooperation Center for Asia and the Pacific. His role involves conducting capacity building activities to support countries and other stakeholders in the Asia-Pacific region on issues related to the Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Also, he is leading the activities of the RCC Asia-Pacific under the SIAGA initiative, which assists parties in the development of carbon pricing approaches for implementing their NDC under the Paris Agreement and foster cooperation. So, a big round of applause to welcome Mr. Raczynski.
Is it on? Yeah? Okay. Good. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see so many of you again on the second day. Very happy that the RCC, the Regional Collaboration Center for Asia and the Pacific, was invited to not only organize this event, but also that I was given this speaking slot in the very beginning of the first day, so it's a keynote speech. I have to see how to do it because I have a lot of slides actually, and they are as usually from us very text-based. So I hope I'm not blocking it most of the time. This presentation. Where do I stand? This presentation is really more like an introduction and a status update to set the stage for the second day of this conference. And I would like to start introducing a little bit market mechanism, how they have evolved and where we stand with Article 6 in particular. So as you know, market mechanisms were created and introduced by the Kyoto Protocol already, and the first instrument, emission trading, we've heard yesterday a lot about ETSs popping up in different parts of the world, so that has become quite popular. And then the two other market mechanisms, clean development mechanism and joint implementation, basically have been the prototype for what parties agreed in Paris to include in the Paris Agreement under Article 6 as cooperative implementation. So overall, parties agreed they wanted to have again, market mechanisms in the agreement, building on the lessons learned from CDM and JI. And so under Article 6, parties allow to engage in international voluntary cooperation in the implementation of their climate plans and targets, basically their NDCs, with the objectives, and that's very important, to allow for higher ambition and promote sustainable development and environmental integrity. We always should remember and keep in mind that Article 6 approaches are tools for exactly this purpose, to support the achievement of NDCs and increase the ambition of NDCs. I think I always have to show it, but I believe all of you in the room are already pretty familiar with the 3 different elements of Article 6. So we have the cooperative approaches under Article 6.2. We have the mechanism under 6.4, and we have a framework of non-market approaches. Since I'm talking, and we're all talking about market approaches here today, we'll be focusing on the first 2. The cooperative approaches is a bilateral or multilateral cooperation, and I will give some examples. And also yesterday, in the introduction from some of the embassies that are with us, or were with us yesterday, some of these bilateral cooperation were already mentioned. And then the mechanism, we are all familiar, I hope we all still remember very well. The CDM mechanism is basically a new mechanism, the 6.4 mechanism, building on what we have learned and done with CDM. So that's a centrally operational mechanism run by the UNFCCC Secretariat. Just a couple of differences, but won't go too much into details. But one of the main differences between Kyoto and Paris Agreement is, of course, that developing countries under the Kyoto Protocol didn't have targets, whereas they committed through the NDC's own commitments on emission reductions. So that has, of course, a lot of implications then for the mechanisms, and we'll see how that plays out, especially on corresponding adjustment and no double counting of emission reductions. Also, under the new mechanisms under Paris Agreement, there's a lot more involvement and also expectations to the host countries of activities, whereas under the Kyoto Protocol that was quite limited. So, where do we stand on Article 6? I think that's the only one I'm not blocking. A little bit on the historical evolution from CDM to Article 6, because this is where we are right now. Paris Agreement in 2015 and entered into force in 2016. We're in 2023 now, so a couple of years have passed since the agreement entering into force, but there was still a lot of work to be done by parties in the following years, and especially the Article 6 negotiations turned out to be quite difficult and lengthy, also compared to other elements of the Paris Agreement. So while in Katowice 2018, CMA A1, parties already agreed on large parts of the Paris rulebook. They couldn't agree on Article 6 rules. So in the following years in Madrid and then the global pandemic, a couple of more years passed by. But then in Glasgow at CMA 3, we also, the parties adopted the rules, modalities and procedures for the Article 6 mechanism, and also mandated the substa and supervisory body to elaborate on key principles. So basically, since Glasgow, parties are still working on the technical details. That continued then also last year in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we'll see more of this happening in Dubai. We do have now rules and procedures for supervisory body and also the CDM transition that was agreed. So as you will see, here the mechanism is not operational yet, but the supervisory body has started meeting already. They have a very tight work program or had for this year, but still have, because as you see, there's a virtual meeting just happening tomorrow, starting tomorrow, and the week after. That was not planned, so a lot of additional work. They are very active, and also if you compare it to the CDM Executive Board, there's a lot of stakeholder engagement, so I would recommend there are Article 6.4 newsletters by the Secretariat where you can sign up to, but there's also a lot of information available. There are webinars to participate, all things that we didn't have under the CDM, but the supervisory body is very active in, as you see, tight work program on the activity cycles, accreditation, methodology process, and then also getting the transition operational. So a lot happening here, a lot going to also to Dubai, and then from next year we hope that it's more on process operationalization, but of course it will still take a little time. As I mentioned, Article 6 is not fully operational, especially 6.4. I don't want to give any predictions or updates, but we all hope to have it operational as soon as possible, maybe by the end of next year. We'll see. But Article 6.2, we've heard a lot. Bilateral cooperations are already happening, even though some technical details also there still to be done. But that doesn't stop countries to start some pilots, which is good to also get some experience with these cooperations. It's important to understand also the linkage between Article 6 cooperation and the host country NDC. I think it was mentioned a couple of times already, also with regards to the use of mitigation outcomes or the transfer. So it's really crucial that the Article 6 strategy of countries is developed parallel with NDC's implementation planning. And then, so that should all happen at the moment in the countries. RCCs and many other development partners here, other organizations in the room, are also supporting countries on this. The same with capacity building on other aspects of Article 6, and I will get to this a little bit later. Just to give you an idea, it's just showing a little bit the large number of bilateral cooperations that are already starting. This may not be the latest update, so there may actually be a bit more, but on the signed bilateral agreements, you see 64 such agreements at the time in October were counted with 6 different buyers. A lot of these activities that are, especially the projects under these agreements, come still from the JCM, but others are also coming up. On CDM transition, I mentioned it. It's quite important because there are some deadlines. There are actually 2 dates here on the slides, and the first important date, only activities are eligible that had an active crediting period by the 1st of January 2021. So we're talking about CDM project activities and POAs that were still active in January 2021 and who are interested to transition into Article 6.4 projects, which is been made possible by the parties. But importantly, a submission to do so or to express interest has to be submitted by the end of this year. So we only have two months left. It has to be submitted by the project owners, the project proponents. For countries that may be interesting, some countries also during the climate weeks have asked us for a list of eligible projects in their countries just to get an overview. And also, I believe all these project owners have been contacted already. So, Ideally, you would need to have a DNA, Article 6.4 DNA set up, but if these requests go to the Secretariat, which is the process, so submitted to the Secretariat, then we will also inform the countries even if there is no DNA in place. Just the same, basically as a timeline, you also see the CDM methodologies are still applicable until the end of 2025, after which, if the project continues, there may also be renewals. So renewal periods from CDM can be continued, but it's also up to the host country to approve such. Then projects also have to adjust to new methodologies. Again, important transition request deadline is by the end of this year. If you have any questions, then also please come to the RCCs. Pending work, and yeah, I have a short version and a long version. I thought I'd hide some slides, but it was turned into a PDF, so I'll probably just have to skip the next couple of slides. So this is the short version, which I think is enough for us today. Some of the work that is still pending, some of it has been done over the years, now going to CMA. So there's still some work on infrastructure, reporting, and reviewing provisions. There's also the work on finalizing the agreed electronic format, centralized accounting and reporting platform, and the Article 6 database. So Secretariat is working on this already, on the TORs. The deadline is June 2024, so not much time left to put this into place. The same with the international registry, which is expected to be ready in 2024. There are also discussions, negotiations still on modalities of reviewing informations in the initial report and the BTR. And finally, you may have heard this over the year, quite a large discussion on definitions of removal technologies under Article 6.4, which is also going to CMA. So there may be a little bit more, which I again said I would skip through. But you will probably receive the slides and can have a look at the details. Now coming to some of the opportunities that countries have in participating in Article 6. So some of the benefits in participating Article 6.2, bilateral cooperation. So we heard a lot about transfer of ITMOs and that corresponding adjustment. Basically, you can't use these transferred mitigation outcomes for your own achievements, but of course there are also possibilities to agree with the cooperating party to have a share of the mitigation outcomes, so not to transfer all of them or transfer all in the beginning and fade them out over time. So there's a lot of opportunities the host countries actually also have to benefit in terms of retaining parts of the mitigation outcomes. And of course, you could also introduce some kinds of a share of proceeds, which can increase the revenues from these activities to then, for example, enhance NDC implementation by investing in mitigation actions to use part of this budget. So at least a very good way of recycling this income. Then, of course, these corporations should also give you access to innovative technologies that would otherwise maybe not be accessible or not accessible so soon, which also leads to the thinking that it's good to maybe concentrate on efforts that are either need a high finance or high investment, high-hanging fruits, we also call them, or difficult and innovative technologies that are really not available. And then, of course, these corporations should also focus on sustainable co-benefits, so it's not all about just transfer of ITMOs, as we hear a lot, but really also sees like how can countries benefit in terms of other co-benefits like lesser air pollution. We heard the EV the electric buses for Bangkok yesterday, that is certainly a contribution to lower the air pollution, but then also it could increase job creation and higher energy security. So basically, these are just some of the benefits to have in mind. Other opportunities or thoughts when entering into Article 6 agreements. So since it's a voluntary cooperation to increase the NDC, so as I mentioned, you could balance also the selling of ITMOs with your basically keeping some of the mitigation outcomes, and of course also make sure that it contributes to ambitious NDCs and not, Of course, if you have activities now under these cooperative approaches, that can also lead to inclusion of these activities as your own activities under the NDC in the future NDC. So that's an additional benefit, that you'll be faster able to increase your own ambition in the following NDC, and also the sharing of ITMOs I have mentioned already. Then mitigation contribution outcomes, and I thought maybe I should have put a slide with the different types of units and corresponding adjustment and not, but it is also could probably take another half an hour to go through them. But under Article 6.4, these are not ITMOs unless they are transferred and approved by the host country to be transferred. So basically you have units that can assist the parties in achieving their own NDCs under 6.4 and can be used for other purposes, climate finance, domestic carbon pricing schemes. Another opportunity with 6.4 is that it doesn't limit the scope of activity, so it's very broad, nature-based solution, been mentioned a couple of times, new technologies, and also carbon removals can be part of it. So actually a much broader scope than what we have seen and heard from the CDM, for example. So opportunities for this region, just try to, and I hope I'm still blocking, try to come up with a couple of thoughts that are particularly relevant for the region. So you have interested buyers in the regions, as we've seen. We have Japan, South Korea, Australia, possibly New Zealand, Singapore, and also other international buyers, not from the regions, but that are very active here. So there's a lot of interest and potential. Countries in the region also have a good experience already with bilateral cooperation, as we see in 113 projects. Well, that's worldwide, but many of them also here in the region under the CDM. We have also early starters in the region. We've seen the Thailand-Switzerland pilot Article 6 project yesterday, so others in the region can also learn from this easily. Emission profiles and trajectories in the region show that there is really a large mitigation potential, and also there's a good experience not only with the JCM but also with the CDM, so using some of the existing capacities for a quick start under 6.4 could definitely help. And you also have the RCC based here in Southeast Asia, so don't hesitate to contact us. I will end with a couple of slides on capacity building through the UNFCCC and the RCCs. You've seen this yesterday. RCC Asia Pacific is part of a network of 6 RCCs. And we have received the UNFCCC, but also mentioning directly the RCC's mandates under Article 6.2 and 6.4 capacity building from the parties. So this is what UNFCCC through the RCCs is doing already and will continue to do, which is mostly around institutional arrangements, including also reporting, supporting ambition, participation requirements, that's for 6.2. Additionally, for 6.4, standardized baseline development, and also transition from CDM to 6.4. We have already conducted a number of activities this year and will continue to do so. Webinars, virtual workshops, helping countries with the nomination of DNAs and the transition. And then also I want to highlight in the regional climate weeks, we have hands-on trainings for countries, and I hope all of you, most of you have nominated participants we've reached out through countries. That is happening very soon, next week in Johor, in Malaysia, where we have 4 days of Article 6.2 and 4 and carbon pricing trainings for countries. We have also additional training opportunities on demand for DNAs, hands-on training, and we've already done some of these workshops and also started when it's not possible for us to travel, and that's maybe also a model for the future. Very concrete questions. We have started organizing online clinics, which is then very dedicated to a handful of questions. But of course, we prefer to visit you or organize regional workshops, but we are always open for such requests. And I want to finish with this. It's not Article 6 related per se, but mentioned by our regional lead, Juliet, yesterday. Julia, RCCs are also active in an initiative called SIACA, the Collaborative Instruments for Ambitious Climate Action. It's a PDF. There's no, I wanted to click in. The objective is to assist parties in the development of carbon pricing approaches and implementation their NDCs under the Paris Agreement and foster collaborations. So what we can offer, we're assisting parties, which can also be a group of parties. For example, we've worked with the AWGCC since 2017, not so active recently because we're also focusing on bilateral support to countries. We're also open to receive new expressions for interest for this initiative. We can help organizing consultations, studies, trainings, a lot of activities that we have done already in the previous couple of years. It's supporting countries more on domestic carbon pricing approaches such as carbon tax, emission trading, hybrid systems, but also cooperative approaches and South-South cooperation. So as I said, in the group of countries we have worked with the AWGCC already. So if there is an interest in support under this or an interest to learn more about this initiative, please also contact the RCC. It's on the slide, and I do want to highlight once again the upcoming Asia-Pacific Climate Week in Johor happening next week. I hope to see many of you there. Also, just contact the RCC for any need, any question, anything on Article 6 or carbon pricing. And this is, that is my final slide. Thank you very much for your attention. And closing with that. Thank you.
Thank you ค่ะ Thank you นะคะ So see you in Asia Pacific Climate Week, right? 13 to 17 of this November in Malaysia. So thank you very much for Mr. Jan Raczynski once again for sharing with us about the international market-based cooperation. This is the overview, ladies and gentlemen. For the next session, we are going to have the panel discussion on readiness support for cooperative implementations under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And for this section, is moderated by Mr. Supanat Thodwittiya Tharakorn. He's from TGO, one of the co-hosts, which is the Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization, public organization. And after that, we are going to take a break a little bit and we'll come back again with a really important topic from, I'm going to say that thank you so much for all the prominent speakers from JICA, because that topic is going to come up next after our break. which is the cooperations between Japan and ASEAN for the establishment of a regional carbon market that will have the two topics. First, to introduce all of you about the purpose, implications, and expectations, and then we will have our big group panel discussion together. All right, so now I would like to introduce every one of you to our moderator of this section, which is Readiness Support for Cooperative Implementations under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Mr. Supanat Chodvitya Tharagon, we call Kunat, is a legal manager at Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization, Public Organizations or TGO. As a part of the legal team, he provides legal advice on bilateral and multilateral climate mitigations cooperation with a focus on market-based instruments, and he also supports and supervises legal research and development in the areas of greenhouse gas reporting and emission trading. A big round of applause to welcome Mr. Supanat on the stage.
ไปได้เลยนะ Thank you very much to Kun Ma'am for the introduction, and good morning to everyone here with us today. So I hope you are still fresh and ready to start for today. So we are going to start off with the first panel session of today, which we will look into, as Kun Ma'am mentioned, the readiness support for implementation of the Article 6. And as we hear from Jens, you can see that there's quite a lot of opportunities for Article 6 implementation, also in this region, in the Southeast Asian region. So today we will look into the different partners, different initiatives and support program on how they are supporting countries to prepare implementation of Article 6, as well as to see and learn more from practical example of Article 6 pilot projects on the ground. So I would like to introduce our panelists for today. We have four speakers. The first one is Marshall Brown, from the Global Manager for Support Article 6 Preparedness for our Article 6 Cooperation, or the SPARK program, who you heard from him as the moderator yesterday. Second is Kun Vicky Jackson, from the General Manager for Southeast Asia of the CLIC Foundation from Switzerland, and Kun Chathep Janyam or Kun Ping from the Article 6 Implementation Partnership. And our fourth speaker is Kun Taisei Masugi, the Senior Climate Change Specialist from the World Bank. So with this, I would like to invite all our speakers onto the stage and to give them a big round of applause. So from yesterday, we heard a little bit from some speakers mentioning or touching on Article 6, how the countries are starting to work on Article 6 implementation. We see different countries and different aspects, different development stage. So now we will look into the initiatives or programs from the development partners and how they support countries to prepare for the Article 6 implementation. And we will start off with the presentation. So now I would like to give the floor to Marshall. And Marshall, so I will introduce you again, but we know that you have already been introduced last time. So Marshall has been working with the GGGI for 9 years, previously holding roles working with the government of Vietnam, right? On the Article 6 policy approaches, as well as with Jordan's Ministry of Environment, the multi-sector green growth, National Action Plan, and National Climate Finance Policy. So over to you, Marshall.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Thanks, everyone, for showing up today again. So my name is Marshall Brown. I'm the Global Program Manager for the SPARK project, which is, you'll see here on the screen, there's a 6 in the middle of it, but it's pronounced SPARK, although I've been told by the director at CCE that in Thailand it's called SPAR 6C. So if you, if you hear that name, you can also recognize the project that way. But anyway, yes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the project today, what the offerings are from the project, and then I'll also add a little bit at the end on behalf of GGGI, so separate from the Spark project, some of the other global initiatives that we have running. So SPARC stands for Supporting Preparedness for Article 6 Cooperation. The idea of the word spark is basically that we're trying to spark market activity. We're trying to catalyze transactions happening in the market because that's the common goal. The transactions have to happen in order for the mitigation to take place. So obviously, aligned with the Paris Agreement, our ultimate objective is to reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. We want to ensure that that's done with high integrity credits being traded. So the project actually aims to promote Article 6 transactions, but also support our partner governments to improve their data quality and quantity so that they can set better targets and continue to raise their ambition throughout the life of the project. So Jens just gave us a nice presentation about all of the benefits and opportunities that are there. So I can kind of echo that same sentiment. There's a benefit for seller country governments or host country governments. The finance from carbon revenues that come into projects that make them bankable can help both make the project implementable and lead to additional sustainable development co-benefits. And that can help reach that highest hanging fruit, the most difficult part of your NDC to implement. And that's all great. At the same time, if you are a host country government and you have an NDC with an unconditional target, you might be concerned that you're not able to reach that unconditional target if you sell too many carbon credits to another country. So this is what's different between the Kyoto era and the Paris era. Everybody has targets. Everybody has an obligation to meet their targets. And so it is important that we accurately assess what can and cannot or should not be sold. And that's really up to the seller country governments to determine. But compared to the previous era, seller country governments don't have that much more support generally, right? The capacity to assess all of that, to build the institutional arrangements, to set the governance frameworks and legal mechanisms in place to make those decisions is a completely new area. So that's why our project exists. So basically, GGGI is an intergovernmental organization based in Seoul, South Korea, if you haven't heard of us before. Our program, the SPARC program, is funded through the German Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action through the IKI initiative. It's a global program that is implemented in Colombia, Pakistan, here in Thailand, and in Zambia. But it also has international or global cross-cutting components. We have partners in the program, so GGGI is the overall global lead, and we lead in Colombia. But we also work with the UNEP Copenhagen Climate Center, who leads our efforts in Pakistan, the Communal Credit Public Consulting Firm, which is based out of Austria, who's here with us today, for Thailand, GFA Consulting in Zambia, and Carbon Limits, which if you've worked in Article 6, you might have read some of their reports before. They're working on some of the more technical global knowledge products. So it's a little bit confusing. There's a lot of partners and logos on the screen right now. You're probably wondering what's happening. But what I think the ultimate message is that we actually have a broad range of international expertise, some of the leading global thinkers on Article 6 in our consortium of partners that are able to exchange knowledge in real time on what's happening in all 4 countries. And we're aiming to achieve a lot with that knowledge exchange in the next couple years. So what do? We have 6 main components to our project. So 4 of those components are related to the in-country support in Colombia, Pakistan, Thailand, and Zambia. And then we have 2 cross-cutting work packages. One is the community of practice for Article 6 implementing countries, and another is the Article 6 toolbox. So in country, we basically do 3 different types of technical assistance support. So the first thing we do is we help with medium and long-term emission planning. So that's having a look at the NDC, having a look at the NDC implementation plan, and helping the government understand where the gaps are in selecting the authorization criteria for Article 6. Is there enough data available, or are the plans clear enough on what can and cannot be sold? And if it's not, we can provide technical assistance to help collect that data, update baselines, do sector analysis in the cement or agriculture sector or whatever it is, to help make those decisions. In the second area, governance frameworks, we're looking at the institutional arrangements, so the technical committees or the decision-making processes and procedures within each country, and also the strategy. What are the decisions that the country will make around share of proceeds, for example? Or how will the MRV system be adapted to meet the needs of Article 6 transactions? What about for private sector? What type of information does private sector need in order to know how decisions are made in that country? So for example, in Zambia, we just launched the Carbon Market Framework, which provides guidelines on submission and evaluation of projects proposed in that country. And in the third area, mitigation activity development, we have a goal by 2027 to develop 8 projects. So put 8 mitigation activity design documents together across the 4 countries in any combination, and hopefully have those endorsed by government that can eventually lead to transactions. So this is a little information about what we're doing in the different countries. I won't go into too much detail, but suffice to say that there's very similar type of work happening in all 4 countries. So we are able to kind of do knowledge sharing between countries, like I said, in real time, and it's really building, we think, a nice precedent for other countries to then make decisions in those same areas. In terms of the cross-cutting work, we also are developing what's called an Article 6 implementation toolbox. So you see on the screen here 6 numbers. That stands for 6 different guidebooks or handbooks that we're currently developing, 4 of which will be launched at COP28. And so they cover key areas of decision-making, whether it's strategy, governance, private sector activity development and screening, etc. So yes, like I said, we will launch these in Dubai, and then we will, throughout all of next year, have different webinars available and capacity building modules for these tools. So I hope if you're interested that you all can join those webinars. Finally, related to Spark, I wanted to tell you about the community of practice for Article 6 implementing countries. So we call it within our project COP ASIC, and it's sort of similar to what the Article 6 implementation partnership does, which is, I'm sure, something that Ping will tell us about later. But basically, it's bringing the practitioners of Article 6 together. So especially all of those of you in the front row here who are responsible for decision-making on Article 6 to exchange information. What are the challenges you're facing, and how can you address those with the current level of understanding we have? In addition to that, there's also what we call the research mentorship program, okay, included in this project. So we're actually engaging students in the 4 countries that we work to undertake research in the area of carbon markets or Article 6, and then apply that research in the context of an internship. So I've put a QR code up there for anyone in Thailand who has a student friend who's studying their master's degree or PhD, and they would like to do a little research internship with a mentor. So you can click the code there. The applications are due by 15 November. So that's the Spark project. That's GGGI's biggest technical assistance program, but we also do other area of work that I want to speak about. So GGGI has actually 3 main programs. In addition to Spark, which I just presented, we have what's called the Mobilizing Article 6 Trading Structures program, which has worked with the government of Cambodia. So there we worked on an operations manual that I'm sure our colleagues here are familiar with. We are expanding to Cote d'Ivoire and Dominican Republic, but we've also worked with Nepal on a biogas transaction there. And in this program, Sweden is looking to purchase ITMOs from those countries. So GGGI is the technical assistance provider doing many of the same tasks that I talked about for Spark, but really focused on the activity and the transaction itself. In a similar way, we are working with the Norwegian Ministry of Climate and Environment, who is a buyer that you didn't see on the screen in Jens' slide, but on a little bit more innovative of an approach. So whereas the Swedish program is looking to purchase ITMOs from project scale or program of activity scale transactions, the DAPA program is about policy approaches. So in this program, we're working with the governments of Indonesia, Senegal, and Morocco on what policies they could implement that would lead to a very massive transformation in their country. And based on the carbon, so they would receive carbon credit for the implementation of that policy. And based on the outcomes of that policy, they would sell those mitigation outcomes to Norway. We previously were working with Vietnam as well on that, so I had worked with the team there at Monterey, and yeah, we learned a lot in that discussion, and I think the door is always still open when the government is ready. So finally, so those are our 3 main programs. We're also working with the government of Lao PDR on an Australian-funded project for readiness. And our idea now is how can we scale up these activities? Because the more that we present about what we're doing, the more interest we get. So we realize that there's a huge need out there for increased readiness. So we have established what is called the Carbon Transaction Facility. So this is a facility to do, again, the same activities that I described in 2 different windows. The first is a readiness window, which is grant-based technical assistance and capacity building support for seller countries. And the second is the actual transaction development and purchasing. So we have a goal to capitalize these different funds with 50 million US in readiness and 500 million in carbon purchasing trust funds by 2027. So we've already started talking with a number of resource partners, including our partners in Sweden and Norway, for those projects I was telling you about, to put money both into their own individual carbon purchasing fund, but also into the readiness fund, so that can be shared with new countries globally. But also we're in discussions with the UK. In fact, our colleagues who are visiting us today, their same department, with the government of New Zealand and Singapore, to continue to support our country partners and more with the support I was describing before. So that's what I'm here to say in a nutshell, and thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Marshall. And I think it's very interesting. I think one of the things that we are impressed very much by your program is how you have cool names for every of your activities. And also we see now some ASEAN countries are already in your program, and what's interesting is how you tailor for specific needs of different countries, and I think it would be interesting also for other ASEAN countries to look into this. So I would move a little bit more into practical examples on the ground, and so we have here with us Vicky Jansen, and Vicky has been working with the Cook Foundation since September 2022 and is currently based in Bangkok. So before assuming this role, Vicky worked for about 8 years at the Swiss Foreign Ministry of Foreign Affairs. She has also had experience working for the President of Switzerland, the Swiss entity for public diplomacy and events organizations. And between 2016 to 2019, she was Deputy Regional Coordinator for Southeast Asia, so very much well-versed in this region. And also she then moved to Bangkok and served as the deputy head of political and economic section at the Swiss embassy until August 2022, before moving on to the Click Foundation. So she has also involved in the negotiations of the bilateral agreement on climate protection, including the one between Thailand and Switzerland. So you have been in this process from the start, since from the negotiation at the diplomatic level on Article 6, and then involved in the Article 6 implementation. So would be very much interested to hear from you. So the floor is yours, Vicky.
Thank you so much, Konsobana, and good morning, everyone. Thank you also for the nice introduction and saying so many things, because in the end, like in that specific topic, I'm actually very new. So it's an honor to be with real Article 6 specialist here today. I will start with maybe who is the CLIC Foundation. So the full name is the Foundation for Climate Protection and Carbon Offset, but we're also trying to find like cooler nickname. So CLIC, it's something that people really usually remember. We are not from the government, it's a private entity, but that has a very clear mandate under the Swiss CO2 law. So we have different systems in Switzerland for different industries that are polluting. Specifically for the oil importer industries in Switzerland, they have to compensate some of their greenhouse gas emissions from the road traffic by supporting projects either in Switzerland, actually the biggest part because this is where they pollute, but also abroad. And then for the projects that are abroad, we use specifically the Article 6 framework. So it means we need a bilateral agreement between the Swiss government and another country so that we can work in those countries. And Clink Foundation, we represent this legal mandate on behalf of the oil industry. Then those ITMOs that we will buy, we will hand them over to the Swiss government so that it can help them achieve part of their NDC. Switzerland has actually a quite ambitious NDC target. They've foreseen, I think already before even the Paris Agreement, that in order to meet this target, they will need the support of reductions of CO2 emissions abroad. So this is one of the reasons why they really pioneered this Article 6 and they started engaging different countries like Thailand already 5 years ago, actually. And then very important, under this mandate, we calculate that we will probably have to buy about 20 million ITMOs by 2030. 2030 is the framework, it's the time frame that we have because of the law currently in Switzerland, but also those bilateral agreements that we have. And the 20 million, it's only for the part abroad, not domestic, so we have only those countries where there is a bilateral agreement. So it's really, for us, a compliance market. If we don't meet this target, then we'll pay fines. These are some of the countries where we have, Switzerland has a bilateral agreement at the moment. There's another 4 that are coming very soon, hopefully at COP28 or by the end of the year. And we know that the Swiss Ministry of Environment is interested in engaging with a few more countries next year. Hopefully there will be more in this region. But the most important, I think, for the Swiss government, because we see now there are more and more countries that are interested in engaging in Article 6, is that there is a strong commitment and political will from the host country government, and so they need a specific request from these governments to approach the Swiss Ministry of Environment to show that they really want to engage in Article 6 and that they're getting ready for it. So if you have any interest, like just reach out to today or by email. I'm happy to exchange more. I think one of the big topics today, yesterday from this conference, is talking about integrity, so high integrity, high quality carbon credits, ITMOs. Here are some of the general eligibility criteria we have for Switzerland and Click Foundation. So I think it's here because we mentioned many of the buyer countries. This is really specific for collaborations with us and then Switzerland. First of all, it's very important to be aligned with the host country's NDC. We don't want to engage into any activities that the partner country would think is not important for the country. Second, we mentioned it a lot today already, raising ambition. So we have to go beyond the unconditional target. We could look at the conditional NDC, and this is very clear, but we could also look at within the unconditional target, if there's a specific target, if that goes above this, this could be a possibility for Switzerland. But most important, it's always the host country that has the last word, and that the first and last word, and that decides really what kind of activities we can engage. And the other important additionality factor is on the financial side. So we need to prove that without ITMO monies, without this result-based finance mechanism, the project would not be viable financially on the long term. So all of these also means that we cannot look into projects that have already started. It needs to be new programs so that we can say, without us, this program would not even be able to take place. And this, I think it's quite specific also to Switzerland, from what I understand. And it's, I mean, that's also in the law. The Swiss Ministry of Environment is very strict with this. We have also mechanisms to avoid double counting, double claiming. And one specific criteria from the CLIC Foundation is the volume. Because of those processes that are quite complicated, it involves a lot of time, money, we have a minimum scale of volume for programs that we're looking at. For countries with big potential, with a large economy, like big countries in general, we're looking at 500,000 tons. So it's by 2030, it's accumulative every year. So if we start the program next year, you have 7 years. Some other countries, we're looking more at 250,000. And before we talked about host countries having a positive list, a white list of eligible sectors. Switzerland doesn't have this, but instead have a kind of negative list, which is under the CO2 law, with a few sectors that we're not allowed to engage under Article 6. The main one, and we usually always get it's no forestry. Some of the it doesn't mean, very, very important, it doesn't mean that it's not important for the Swiss government to engage with, but they think it's not the tool that they want to use for this. So the reasons are permanence and then MRV. They're very, very strict on monitoring in general for Article 6. Also, no hydropower that are larger than 20 megawatts. The reason is that as soon as it's a bigger dam project, there could be some environmental impact. And also depending on the projects, but as soon as it's a bigger dam, there's also more chance that it's a quite profitable business. So they think that there's no need of carbon credit for that kind of project. No nuclear power, it's because Swiss people voted a few years ago to phase out by 2050 from nuclear power, so it wouldn't make sense to support this in other countries. And the last one is no fossil fuel lock-in or involved in the projects. The methodologies that are used, we don't have specific methodologies. Usually we take some of the best practices, lessons learned that exist on the carbon market, methodologies that have been proved on the international market that work very well, and then it's a discussion between the Swiss Ministry of Environment and the partner country. With Thailand, we heard yesterday that we have premium TVER, so we use this as a basis, but then Swiss Ministry of Environment would also maybe adapt some of this methodology. They have a tendency to ask for more conservativeness, more like uncertainty factor, and then specifically for the MRV to be a bit more strict and have real data values, etc. And then also to add to to ensure the high quality of these carbon credits of ITMOs, like we also have, it's mandatory to pass through a validation and verification with independent bodies that have to be accredited to both government, the Swiss government and the host country. And then finally, every single program have to be authorized by both government. And again, one of the reasons why the host country always have the last word. Here, that's the project that we've been talking already since yesterday. I don't know if those who are visiting, you had the opportunity to see some of those dark blue buses in the streets of Bangkok. So our partner here is Energy Absolute, and then they've been partnering also with the carbon consultant South Pole. I think it's a good example to show a bit how you meet the eligibility criteria from Switzerland and Click. EV, it's clearly a priority for Thailand, but when you look more into details in their previous NDC, the focus was mainly on individual passenger cars. So there was no, the public buses, but specifically owned by the private sector, were not in the unconditional target. So this is why we could look at this one. But there are some other buses that are owned by the Thai government, and these ones, they wouldn't be eligible for us. Then the financial additionality, those who know Energy Absolute know it's a big company with quite a lot of money, so you would think, where is the additionality here? It's because they are manufacturing the e-buses here in Thailand. So the money came to narrow the gap between changing an old diesel ICE bus to a new diesel bus with the price of manufacturing the e-buses. The only return on investment they would have had was the 50, I think it's 50 cents in the dollar per ticket that you get for the e-buses. So it didn't have a business model. And that's how we came to support. And now we have about 2,000 e-buses that are already running in the streets of Bangkok, and we're going through the first verification of the first ITMOs from the buses that have been running last year. And hopefully we have some good news by the end of the year. And then one last one, it's been already mentioned by Jens and then also a bit by you, Marshall, so I don't need to go through all of it. But I think a few important co-benefits that I wanted to add. First is the money, because we talk a lot about the ITMOs that we transfer and then ITMOs that cannot stay in the country. But I think, once we have figured which kind of projects we can work on, again, for Swiss government, it's extremely important to prove that if we're not here with this support, the project would not take place. So it means if the project cannot take place, there will be no reductions of CO2 emissions. So we're not, in that sense, stealing the ITMOs if we do it properly. There's a lot of money that the Click Foundation is ready to spend in the countries to buy these ITMOs. In Thailand, we've been talking that if we can do projects that leads to 3 to 5 million ITMOs, it could easily be $100 million spent in the country until 2030. And the more important is the investments that it helps unlocking into those clean technologies. And depending on the type of project, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times more. And that's the money that is spent in the host partner country. Because we're usually looking at innovative project and there's a technology transfer, job creation, I think we've been looking through that too. And then also by engaging into Article 6.2, and it's a learning curve. Not every country is completely ready before engaging. That also helps you to get the infrastructure that is necessary to then engage into other types of international carbon market or 6.4. And then I think the rest was mentioned already by the country. Yeah, sorry, I hope I didn't go too much over time, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vicky. And thank you also, I think, it's always good to see real practical projects on the ground to see what it looks like. And also, I think you put a lot of emphasis for the Click Foundation on the environmental integrity of the credits to ensure that they are high value and that they actually be additional to what countries is doing. And that's one of the very important things that we think. And this is only the start, so we expect to see, we hope we are going to see a lot more projects from your Click Foundation as well, maybe in this region. So talking about environmental integrity, so now I would like to turn to Kun Chathep Janyam, or most people know him as Kun Ping, who is the Technical Officer of the Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center at IGES. And Kun Ping has quite an extensive experience in climate change policies, including in agriculture, mitigation, climate carbon pricing and Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. He leads the Article 6 implementation partnership reporting working group and support coordination with the UNFCCC Secretariat and the UNFCCC regional collaboration centers. And previously, he had worked with the GSAT Thailand on the low emissions rights projects, which I understand is one of the very successful projects that we have in Thailand. So Kun Ping, you are going to give us an introduction to the Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center. So the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Kun Supanat. Hi, everyone. My name is Ping. Okay. So I'm from the Paris Agreement Article 6 Implementation Partnership, and with nickname A6IP. So the head office is based in Hayama, Japan. Okay. So the Article 6 implementation partnership, we have like the goal, like to promote the international collaborations for capacity building, like related to Article 6, and by including like some sharing of experience, and also supporting the implementation of Paris agreements. So like as the ambassador of Japan yesterday, he mentioned in his remark that the A6IP was under Japan leadership and was launched in the COP27 last year. And we also signed a letter of intent with the UNFCCC Secretariat also on the same date last year. And this year, we also signed a memorandum of cooperation with the MOHJ and Ministry of Environment Japan and World Bank. So our partnership, like we'll try to leverage like the combined know-how of the countries and regional alliance and multilateral bodies and also public-private institutions of every size. So, so the center just established this year in April in G7 Minister in Sapporo, and also so the communique of the G7 also also recognized like the center for formal establishment, and also like together with the declaration of G7 principle of high integrity carbon market. So we also try to help develop the know-how of institutional arrangement and international links to the need to leverage the Article 6. So on the right-hand side, you see the management structure of the Article 6 implementation partnership. So we have the plenary meetings and also the thematic working groups, which I will talk about in the next slides. And also we work with international organizations, partner countries, and also UNFCCC through the regional collaboration centers, and also regional alliance, such as like Western African Alliance, and also East African Alliance, and also like many in the Caribbean. And also we work with the private sectors and also research institute. And for next year, at the moment, we also try to establish like the advisory working group. The advisory working group will be held in Japan next March. We hope to invite like some of the member countries and also like the partner institutions. Okay, so currently we have like 69 partner countries. So as we can see, we have like from Asia, Eastern European, Central Asia, Europe, and Latin America, Caribbean, North Africa, and Middle East, North America, Oceania, and Sub-Saharan. As you can see, like our geographically coverage is quite wide. And so also we have the inclusive participation from many countries across the region, including from the LDCs and also SIDS. And for partner organizations, so mainly we work with the United Nations bodies and also multilateral and regional alliance. Also we work with the bank, as you can see, World Bank and also European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, African Development Bank, Asian Development Banks. And also we work with the international and also NGOs and research institutes. And we also have partnership with the private sector as well, which we are unable to list in this slide, otherwise it will be text heavy. So regarding the activities, so based on the decisions of the COP27 outcome, so we established the thematic working groups. So based on the authorization, reporting, tracking, which will be the necessary for the implementation of Paris Agreement and Article 6, and we try to provide support of the capacity building and institutional arrangement. So regarding the thematic working groups, that we have 3 working groups. So the first one is authorization. So the authorization will support the countries in terms of capacity building to government officials, trying to set the policies and guidelines. And then we have the second working group, which is on reporting. As you know that, so as the COP27, so we have 3 layers of Article 6 reporting, initial report, annual information, and regular reporting. So we try to come up with the capacity building tools to help country drafting this kind of report. And we were hoping that in annual information templates or AEF will be able to finalize at COP28. And then we also have the tracking. So we try to support the development of national registry by utilizing the international registry. We all know that we have quite a number of existing international registry already, UNFCCC, World Bank, and also national registry, and also as Mr. Babu mentioned yesterday, we also a CAD trust that is also doing the registry. And so another activities is on the information platform. So at A6IP, we conduct regular, try to map out the capacity building in the global level and also in regional level. So we try to update the information regularly and also try to bring up with some case study and good practice. And we also we also try to provide technical assistance in terms of the methodology development. And also we support with the private sector. So what if they want to initiate the project, what would be need, and also try to raise awareness on the Article 6. Okay, so there's the support package. On the left side, you can see that there's, the partner countries can request for the full package support, or they can also individually select. It depends on their needs, and also which we'll talk about like how we select what kind of the support. So the first one is on Article 6 strategy. So we try to help with the guiding principle, eligible criteria, setting scope, ambitions, authorizations, reporting, as mentioned earlier, like tracking, and also project initiation and development of methodologies. So in terms of the support package, so we try to consult with the partner countries first. Now that they have the expression of interest, we try to sit down together with them, like what kind of needs and what are the gaps that the country are needing, and then we try to sit down to online consultation or perhaps like physical meetings. I think that the carbon market platform in October in Tokyo, we sit with several countries and try to identify what kind of support we can give. And also we try to, for step 3, it's resource coordination. So this will be the resource that we talk with the partner countries, how to coordinate the best possible resources. And then the step 4, we will propose the draft support package. And step 5 is the post-consultation. So it will be the resource alignment with the partner countries. And then step 6 will be Article 6 offer of support. Okay, this is some of the activities on the authorization. So in terms of process, so readiness, so what we do, and also the target groups. So readiness, we try to provide support to set up strategy and policy. So the target group is probably like in DNA and also the government organizations. And then the last one is the institutional arrangement. So we try to change maybe like legal status of contract where necessary, and also try to develop the procedure and rules. And this is the example of what we are trying to achieve for the capacity building tools in terms of reporting. So initial report, we try to come up with the illustrative text and guidance and example and some lessons learned from the countries such as like Switzerland, Ghana that already submit the initial report. And yeah, and also in annual information, we understand that the decision will be made at COP28. So this is, we try to come up with some mock tests to improve the draft of AEF. And so regular information, so we know like what kind of information is already needed, and we come up with some outline and some of the format that countries can try to fill in by themselves. And for tracking, so we try to compile all the information on available registry and try to come up to help the country to make the informed decision what kind of track registry they need. And yeah, we will facilitate and introduce to the relevant partner countries. Okay, this would be some of the ongoing support that we map. And the result of this, the Article 6 supporting throughout the world, so we will also present at COP28 along with the support package at the Japan Pavilion. So this is some of the example of the ongoing support, like globally on Article 6 and carbon pricing. As you can see, we have like quite numbers of colleagues on the stage here, also supporting the Article 6 implementation around the globe. And this will be some of the example of ongoing support in Asia Pacific that we try to map out. So, yeah. So for the timeline, for the just want to mention, so like we are just like established like in April, so we also welcome like quite the number of feedback. If you have any question or feedback, so we invite you, and then we try to incorporate and to make the best possible package to activities. So for the phase 1, so now we on the Q4 we already start like to Q2 next year. So we try to initial stage, and then for the phase 2 we try to for 24 months we try to implement the capacity building tools, and then also phase 3 and 4. Phase 4 will be the continuation of the implementation of support package based on the next NDC cycle. Okay, so the schedule, this is like some of the schedule, and then on the 21st, we will have the tracking working group, so you are also welcome to participate. It will be organized online. It will be like from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. like Thailand time. And towards COP28, so just mention that we will try to introduce and launch our package support. And also the next year, we try to organize the webinar to try to include more private sector participation. So this we also work with the IETA. And also, yeah, just mentioned earlier that in March, we will have the A6IP advisory group meeting. And yes, that will be it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khun Ping. I think although recently launched, we see that you have quite a lot of activities happening. And I think what's interesting for me is the number of partners that you have. And I look at Asia and try to see whether everyone is already included in your center. But I understand that you're still open and very much welcome if any countries would want to join who hasn't yet become partner of this center. So now, and thank you also, Khun Ping, for mapping the capacity building support that we see. We see the SPARK program. We also see a lot of activities by the World Bank. And we also heard from yesterday in the section on infrastructure, the work that World Bank has been doing. So I want to give the floor to Khun Taisei Masuki, who's a senior climate specialist at the World Bank. And Taisei has over 18 years of experience in climate change policies and climate finance in quite a large regions, including East Asia and the Pacific, Eastern Europe and Central Asia, South Asia, Middle East and Africa, and also work with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And he also has more than 7 years of experience in various public finance instruments. And he's now leading the World Bank support for carbon pricing instrument and carbon market development in Laos, PDR, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. And we heard from yesterday's presentation also mentioned about the PMI project. So we were much looking forward to hear from you. Taisei, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Oh, it works? Can you hear me? Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nice introduction. Let me quickly explain who I am. Before joining the World Bank, I'm working for the Japanese government as an investment officer and oil and gas development. I actively supported greenhouse gas emissions in my previous life. And then when I joined the World Bank, First 10 years, I worked as a carbon market transaction manager, carbon manager, buy carbon credit. And then also 2 years, I worked for the carbon fund manager, a prototype carbon fund. That is why during that 10 years, first 10 years of World Bank, I worked in the CDM, JI, and assigned amount unit of Article 17 of the Kyoto Protocol. Then, past 10 years, I'm going to the more upstream activities, carbon pricing instrument development, such as carbon tax, emission trading scheme, offset mechanism. That is why now in my life in the bank, maybe the rest of my life, try to make a balance of greenhouse gas emissions because I did a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So today, I was invited to make a presentation. Basically, of course, I'm supporting the country's participation of Article 6, but also supporting carbon pricing instrument development. That is why my presentation here is a little more distance, more broad viewpoints, because for all of the ASEAN member countries, policymakers and government officials need to think about all the big picture. In this context, government people have to consider how to deal with voluntary carbon market, how to deal with Article 6, while attaining greenhouse gas NDC mitigation activities. Today's my presentation, that is why it's a kind of more conceptual, because I think maybe you can see more detailed information what we are doing in a regionally or in country basis. When we talk about carbon market, before starting our project, we sit down together, our client countries, and then we try to diagnose what's the barriers, what's the problems, if the countries participate in the international carbon market. Unlike the Kyoto Protocol era, now more complicated, because now all the countries do have NDC mitigation goal. That is why you need to think about how to deal with that one. It's quite similar, and the former Soviet bloc under Kyoto Protocol, JI, at the time many countries have to set aside for their own compliance. And then they have to think about how much they can solve to somebody else. That is based on my experience working with JI project in Latvia, Estonia, their countries, and Ukraine. I think maybe current situation, sometimes a lot of common factors. But I think all three barriers, basically, policy-related barriers, I did not go further. But if I were the carbon manager to buy carbon credit, first of all, I check, is there any legal basis? Can I buy something? Otherwise, I do not want to spend the money because I'm so scared. That is, I check what are the policy-related barriers. Is there any clear law? Is there clear procedures? Otherwise, I'm so scared. And also, carbon finance is slightly different from other climate finance. Lots of uncertainties, because basically pay on delivery. That is why if I am, say, the project owner, of course, I agree to sign emission reduction purchase agreement. Of course, there are lots of the conditions there. But at the end of the day, if Taisei generates emission reduction as planned and then verified, certified, then you can get 1 year after. That is the CDM analogy. But lots of the uncertainties. And also you see it, lots of high price, low prices. That is why if I am the project owner, I be careful about how to deal, how to mitigate such risks. Of course, this risk should be shared by the buyer as well. The third one, the project level barriers. Of course, everybody thinks about highly environment integrated good project. When I'm now based in Singapore, all the time I have lots of private people, including cowboys. And then they think about, okay, Taisei, we need lots of good projects. Oh, really? Okay. So what's the project? What do you want? Which sector? Which country? Okay. So project everybody, a lot of things. We start how to reduce risks, how to remove those barriers. This is our starting point to help our client countries. And then I do not want to go further. Basically, 4 pillars. First one is advisory services analysis. Because in some countries, I will explain later, focusing only on the participation in international carbon market. The other countries, like Malaysia, consider domestic carbon pricing different. But usually we start with the big picture, because most of some countries thinking about domestic internet carbon pricing instrument. That way they need to think about some complexity. First of all, we need to support if the carbon pricing is introduced, what happened to your country? Macroeconomics, fiscal, broader environment, social impact. Because all you have to answer to the stakeholders, policymakers, medias. Otherwise, you'll be grilled. That is what we are supporting. In this context, some client government ask, okay, Taisei, please carry out sensitivity analysis. If we do have offset mechanism, what is the negative impact of our industries, our people? In this context, sometimes we use this kind of assessment as well. And of course, carbon pricing policy implementation. Under the PMR, we closely work with the Vietnamese government, and then Vietnamese government made the revised environmental protection law, which is the legal basis of the introducing domestic carbon pricing instrument. It takes several years, but the Vietnamese government made it. I think this is quite important, because if you talk about carbon pricing instrument, everybody look at what is the legal basis, what is the institutional arrangement. Because in this context, as I said, many people think about risk analysis. Okay, what happened to my deal? What way? We can do it. And also we are supporting project development, emission reduction credit project generation. We do have several schemes. We support develop carbon project by using World Bank lending operation, and also develop support of the project-related documents. But behind the scene, price implementation, we also support client government legal, institutional, administrative setup of the carbon market and carbon pricing. Both sides we can support. And the fourth one is client engagement capacity building is important. Of course, what I have to emphasize is, especially for the carbon pricing, client engagement is quite important. Basically, people say, no, I don't want to see anything. You have to move ahead. You have to explain. You need to think about who will be there's some kind of negatively affected, positively affected. You need to think about how to reach out stakeholders. World Bank supporting such a kind of stakeholder engagement plan or communication engagement plan, because it's quite important. In this context, sometimes we also think about component, how to deal with very complicated carbon market strategy. And then I did not go to further, but I say, now we have big two scales. One is PMI. I was mainly supporting the PMI, and the PMI supporting Malaysia, Vietnam, and the Philippines. And then scale, actually, we are supporting the carbon project development under this complicated area. 2 windows. And then if you want to more detail, more than happy to explain later, but I think organizer told me within 10 minutes, that is why I go further. And then also quickly, now that we're supporting carbon pricing. And then, of course, some put logo, PMR and PMI, we are supporting currently 5 countries, Vietnam and Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines, and then Malaysia. And then we supported Thailand under PMR. And of course, Singapore, we are partners. Actually, in the partnership with the Singaporean government, we and ASEAN Secretariat, we are also supporting ASEAN's regional mitigation cooperation possibilities through the carbon pricing. Of course, I think maybe there are several ways. I hope we can complete all activities by next month. We can discuss with member states and then as a secretariat how we can distribute these ideas. But lots of ideas coming, how to cooperate among ASEAN states, member states. This is usually my client come. Thai said, this is what, please make it simple of the complicated world. If some company think about hybrid option, carbon tax, and emission trading scheme, and then voluntary carbon market, Article 6. So we just put this Venn diagram, because as you see it, carbon credit demand is created by the policy, not like a market of a tomato, cabbage. Government have to create demand by policies. Then you need to think about how to create demands. In the context of carbon tax, in the context of emission trading scheme, government sometimes consider about offset mechanism as one of the measure to risk mitigation measure. ETS compliance can use carbon credit. Carbon taxpayer can use carbon offset as tax liability. There is the demand. So some country has to think about how to provide those guys feed the beast through the offset mechanism. They need to think about voluntary carbon market and Article 6. So all policymakers need to think about such a complicated interactions. World Bank, through the country-specific support, country-specific will provide, the tailor-made support. Well, how to we do not provide any prescription, but we provide materials to consider, and we sit down together a long time. And then if you have any question, we answer the question. So I just did the diagram. And then, again, in terms of the project development support, we are supporting these projects under the, scale the other funds. I do not go further, but what I say is now we are providing development of a good carbon project like the other development partners. We also providing knowledge bases. I think we have, through the past, we started prototype carbon fund almost 20 years ago. That is, we have tons of information. All information is available to our website. That is why if you have any clarification, please let us know, and we can share the information link, and you can have more information. I try to stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tyson. I think one of the key points there is that it's very important to look at the whole ecosystem and how it interlinkages with different policies of different countries. So I understand it's very hard for the World Bank to squeeze all the activities into 10 minutes. But I think we have been quite very much on time, maybe because we have our Swiss colleague here with us, so I understand the pressure to keep time. But so here, I think with this, we have some ample time for the discussion session and for the Q&A. And I look at the floor, so if there's any questions that anyone would want to raise to our panelists here. Okay, so Malaysia, please. So can someone give a microphone to Malaysia?
Thank you for all panelists. Very great presentation. I think not only Malaysia, the other countries also, the other stakeholders also learn a lot from all of you. So I have basically two questions. One to the Sparks, Mr. Marshall from the Sparks. So basically, I would like to ask, so the existing countries is 4, and then are you going to add more countries that would like to be covered under this project, maybe to look into more on the technical supports in terms of the implementing the Article 6, and yeah, that one is the first one. The second one is to the Click Foundation. I just wondering. So I think the transportation, the electric vehicles or the EV transports, these are the types of projects that have been sparked a lot of discussion and interest in all over the world, because I could see there's a lot of growing interest to develop e-transportation. But I think we are not focusing much on the hard-to-abate sectors. For example, the agriculture, the industrial processes, and then also on the waste sector. So I would like to ask the Click Foundation whether Switzerland government also looking into supporting the hard-to-abate sectors in the other countries. For example, if you have, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the questions. And before I give the floor back, I would like to make sure that if there's any more questions that we can collect, and then I will come back. Okay, so Brunei.
Hello. Yes. Thank you. I have a question to Ping. Thank you for your presentation, Ping. For Brunei, are we eligible to get the Article 6 capacity building? Do we need to pay in terms of any fees or anything? This, Brunei usually said that we have a high GDP, but then again, it depends on the oil pricing. So hence, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think, okay, so Myanmar as well.
Okay, thank you, all the panelists. So I have questions to the first panelist. He mentioned about that mitigation outcomes or so. So I think you are somewhat right, but our understanding is that the CERO, carbon credit, are outcomes of cooperation between developing and host country and a bit developed countries or Annex 1 country. So it will be a part of conditional targets. Yeah, so that's all we understood. So may I have your clarification? And for the World Bank, so I would like to have a bit more clarification on oil and gas sector, how they can be participating in the Article 6.4 mechanism and through your system. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for all the questions. So I think addressed to all our panelists, and maybe I can start off with Marshall.
Sure. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Okay, so great question. I think this is the question we get asked the most. Can you add another country? How can I access the resources that you have available to support, with technical assistance and capacity building? Is Spark as a project looking to add new countries? The answer is no. It's a single amount of funding in a program with 4 selected countries. I hope that the German government will be interested in expanding to additional countries because we are having a lot of learnings and success with the project. So we hope to be able to expand with German funding. But I think one key message is that it's not as simple, for GGGI at least, it's not as simple as just like adding another country, right? The delivery model that we take is very embedded and tailored to the national circumstances. So we try not to just show up, give a presentation, and assume that capacity is built. Because we know that when you develop a report or recommendations or a legal or institutional framework, often the government stakeholders, they don't really understand exactly how it's supposed to work. So it's important that we're there to help along the entire way throughout the transaction process. And we've done a survey actually that showed that it's not just capacity building is a very kind of vague term, but it actually comes down to the confidence of the seller countries to engage in a transaction. That is our aim as an organization, is to try to help our government partners to feel comfortable to transact. Because I think, and I think Vicky can attest that is also important for the buyer, that they know what's happening on the other side of that transaction. It's not as simple as capacity building. So that's why we're setting up the carbon transaction facility. And that's where the answer is yes to your question. We will be looking to add more countries, but with a much more comprehensive kind of embedded approach that is how we usually work with our members. And on your question related to, sorry, I don't remember exactly what it was.
So maybe if you can repeat that question again.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I wrote about whether the mitigation outcomes is specifically in the conditional part of the NDC. The answer is yes. I think for the matter of to safeguard the integrity of the credits and of the market, we aim for, like what Jens was explaining, the high-hanging fruit. So we try to stay away from things that would be questionable. Do they dip into the unconditional target? we want to aim for those transformational, difficult to implement projects. Yes.
Thank you very much, Marshall. So now, Vicky?
Yes. Is it possible to just go back to my presentation, because I have one slide that might help. Otherwise, it's okay, but I don't know if. So you're right. EV, I think it's really specific to each country. It's not one sector that we would be able to engage in all the different countries that we have here, and then different types of EV also depending on the NDC plan, etc. But we are working in many other sectors. For the region, I think not all apply. These are sectors that work well for Click Foundation, Swiss government, when we consider this negative list that we have in the CO2 law. But then it always depends of the host country. So we know here we have solar PV, for example. Practically, it should be eligible, but then when we look at the additionality, we realize with the Swiss government, it's not enough. We need at least battery storage. So like some new technologies, innovations that are more expensive, etc. Like I think it's been very hard to prove in any country that just solar PV would meet additionality. Waste is definitely one of the sectors we're looking, and you're right. I think maybe not just because of technology, but because of the complexity of the sector. This is not something easy to do, but waste to energy, waste management, water waste treatment, not just to waste to energy, but electricity or gas, depending on the country. This we are very, very interested, and there are a few examples in different countries. In the agricultural sector, unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do because of this CO2 law, but alternate wetting and drying specifically for sustainable rice, this is a methodology that has been approved by the Swiss government, so we are able to do it. We would be very interested in doing that in Thailand. There's a first project in Ghana that is not a click project, so I forgot to mention, Swiss government is also using Article 6.2 to offset its own its own emissions from the government, and they partner with UNDP. And so the first authorized project under Article 6 in Ghana on AWD is actually a UNDP project. So you see we have different sectors here, but we are always happy to have different ideas and then consider what the partner country is interested in. And I have some brochures here on my desk if you're interested, where you see like those different sectors.
Thank you very much, Vicky. And Kumping, I think that's a question also for Brunei.
Okay, Bob? No. Yes. Yes, thank you, Bob. So I think Brunei is already a partner country for A6IP. So in terms of your questions, I think we can also sit down and we can try to help you identify like what are the gaps and try to come up with some of the tailored support package. And we also can try to align our resources. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kumping. And Tyson?
I think his question was, the World Bank can support oil and gas development project? Mm-hmm. Yes. Basically, actually, in terms of the say carbon credit project, actually, we are closely working with our donors, contributors. Depending on that one, we agree on the eligibility criteria. That is, at this moment, I'm not quite sure what is the latest one. That is why I cannot answer this moment, but I can check and come back to you. But basically, as I said, this is the kind of market. That is what we are supporting the development carbon project by using the donors' money. Donor won't expect some good quality of carbon credit for a World Bank lending project. In that case, we need to agree on what kind of sectors, which country is needed. That is totally up to the appetite of donors.
Thank you very much, Taisei. And I think it's very interactive. And what we see now, clearly the message is how can ASEAN countries assessing support from different initiatives and also to engage with pilot projects. So I understand that our panelists will continue to be with us, possibly until lunch. So we would like to encourage this interaction. And also, if anyone have further questions, please come to anyone to continue the conversation. So thank you very much. And I would like to ask everyone to give a big round of applause to all the speakers here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for Kunat too. Thank you for all of you over here. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a break for around 15 minutes. Please grab your break outside. You can bring your coffee break inside. Okay, please feel free. Thank you. discussion on the collaborative cooperation between Japan and ASEAN for the establishment of a regional carbon market. And such a great honor from the prominent speakers from JICA, from TGO, from Ministry of Environment of Japan. And we also received such a great honor to have the guest from Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment from Singapore, Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center, and moderated by the Director of IGES Bangkok. So now we are going to start this section. May I invite all of you to kindly bring your coffee break inside here, please? Thank you.
ตอนส่งตัวให้พี่อ่ะแป๊บนึง
จริงๆไม่ต้องมีเพลงก็ได้นะเริ่มแบบเริ่มเลยก็
ต
ได้
อนที่จะส่งตัวให้พี่โมเดเลเตอร์ทันแรกตื้อแล้วแป๊บหนึ่งพอเขาขึ้นไปแล้วก็เชิญสามคนก็เดี๋ยวโมชั่นมันจะขึ้นเป็นโมเดเลเตอร์ชั้นแรกคุณจูนนั่นแหละ
แต่ว่าไม่ได้อ่านชื่อไม่ได้อ่านทีวีนะ
ไม่ต้องอ่านแค่
ก็คืออันนี้บิวก่อน
เป็นโมเดเลเตอร์เชิญโมเดเลเตอร์ดรจูน
แล้วก็บอกว่าเนี่ยแล้วก็ขอเชิญพานัลลิสต์เนาะ
ใช่
คนแรก
ใช่
คนที่สอง
ใช่
คนที่สาม
แต่
โอเคค่ะ
ทำส่งให้หน่อยนะ
คนที่
เพราะ
สาม
เขาจะต้องมีโมชั่นขึ้น
พอคนที่สามปุ๊บแล้วก็ big round of applause to welcome
ก็ส่งไปทีเขาเลย
โอเค
จ้ะ
เท่ากับว่ามีคุณจูนเดินขึ้นไปก่อน สามคนหนูอ่านชื่อ1 2 3เขายังไม่เดินถูกปะ
ขึ้นได้เลยคุณจูนเว้นแป๊บเดียว
แปลว่าหมายถึงความหมายของหนูก็คือให้อ่านรวบแล้วทีเดียวคนนี้สามคนนี้
ถูกแต่คนแรกคือเป็นคุณจูนก่อน
ไม่ใช่แบบ
แป๊บนึง
ไม่ใช่เปิดทีละหนึ่งใช่ไหมไม่ต้องเอาเลยไหมคะ
จ้ะอุ้ยอย่างของมันพูดพี่จะถามลูกค้าว่าอีกกี่นาที
ว่าหนูเข้าหนูเริ่มเลยก็ได้
แต่นี่เราสัญญาณกันได้
So right now we check up all the signal from the online platform because that in these sections we have 3 panelists who are going to join us through online as well. So now let's wait a little bit for the signal checking a little bit. So all the guests here, okay. All right, so now I would like to introduce all of you to our next section, which is the panel discussion on collaborative cooperation between Japan and ASEAN for the establishment of a regional carbon market. So please join me in welcoming the moderator of this section, Dr. Jun Ichihara, Director of IGES Bangkok. And let me introduce our panelists on the stage. Firstly, Mr. Kazuya Suzuki, Chief Representative from JICA Thailand Office, Dr. Masato Kawanishi, the Senior Advisor from JICA, and Dr. Pavina Panichaya Pichet from TGO. A big round of applause to welcome our panelists, please.
Can you hear me? Good morning, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to moderating this session before lunchtime. I'm delighted to have this discussion session on the cooperation between Japan and ASEAN on carbon market, including potential regional carbon market in the future. So I thank TGO for organizing this great meeting and give us opportunity having this great session. I really impressed the TGO's careful organization of this event. I really appreciate this opportunity. This year is 50 years Japan and ASEAN friendship and cooperation year. We are happy to have this session. So this session includes both offline and online participants here. So in addition to 3 guests here, we have 3 more online participants. First one is from the Ministry of Environment, Japan, Mr. Shigematsu, and also from Singapore, Ministry of Sustainability and Environment, Mr. Wong, and one more, Mr. Kowakutsu, from Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center. So we will have a combined hybrid session here. So let's start. So first, I would like to invite Mr. Kazuya Suzuki, Chief Representative of JICA Thai Office, to make an opening remark.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your participation. And so, yeah, gradually return to the to office to this room from coffee break. Yes. To start the session, I'd like to share with you the purpose and expectation of this session. Yeah. First of all, I'm really impressed by valuable presentation and insightful discussions that have taken place so far. We, JICA, had a long history to working together with Thailand International Greenhouse Gas Management Organization, TGO. Yeah. Since the establishment of TGO, JICA have many collaborative activities for enhancing its capability to promote climate change mitigation, not only in Thailand, but also the region. This time, we'd like to share our past activities, and so we'd like to see the future activities through our discussions. This session is the final session of the conference. As the first keynote, Dr. Kawanishi of JICA will present a case study of capacity building for climate change mitigation, which is essential for the establishment of carbon market in this region. This will be followed by the panel discussion moderated by Dr. Ichihara. In this panel discussion, we will have the opportunity to hear valuable short presentation from Dr. Pavina of TGO, Thailand, and Mr. Yuan of Ministry of Sustainability and Environment, Singapore, on the status of advanced initiatives in ASEAN countries. In addition, Mr. Shigematsu from Japanese Ministry of Environment will present the effort in JCM and its Article 6 initiatives. We are also very pleased to invite Dr. Kowakutsu from the Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center to share insights on the effective use and further development of carbon markets. I hope that this last session will provide a platform for in-depth discussions on the challenges and future international cooperation in the use of carbon markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Suzuki, for your kind introduction. So we have a lot of speakers this session, and then let's move quickly to save time. So then let's continue to introduce the further activity already conducted by JICA. JICA have a lot of cooperation on climate change in ASEAN countries, including Thailand with TGO, a lot of the technical cooperation project. Of course, not only the Thailand, other countries work together with JICA, but let me invite Mr. Kawanishi to make a presentation to explain your past and ongoing activity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ichihara-san, and good morning, distinguished participants. It's a great pleasure to be here today. My name is Kawanishi, Senior Advisor on Climate Change for JICA. Today, I'd like to share with you the experiences of our technical cooperation with Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization, TGO, which has been running consistently for 10 years or so. And I would like to see how it has contributed, even if indirectly, to the potential formulation of a regional carbon market. As you know, designing a carbon market requires participation from all stakeholders and their capacity development too. There are a wide range of actors involved in the market, such as governments, industries, financial intermediaries, and so forth. They have their own roles to play with their respective capacity development needs. For example, governments need to establish a clear set of guidelines for measurement, reporting, and verification of mitigation outcomes. And companies also should be able to identify mitigation potentials and quantify emission reductions. So they need to obtain the capacities to do so. So the cooperation with TGO has addressed a number of these capacity development needs, thereby contributing the potential formulation of a carbon market. Our technical cooperation with TGO consisted of 3 phases, beginning in 2010. And then I like to share with you give me explanation on each phase. The first phase is titled the Project for Capacity Development and Institutional Strengthening for GHG Mitigation. As you may know, TGO was established 2007, and soon after that, we initiated the discussion for starting a new cooperation project. And actually, this project started at January 2010. And this cooperation was focused on the capacity development of TGO as a designated national authority of the Clean Development Mechanism, CDM. It covered an enhancement of knowledge and expertise of TGO staff on climate change mitigation in general, and the CDM in particular. It also included the capacity development of TGO to evaluate and manage proposed CDM projects. We also collaborated with TGO so that they can disseminate information and provide training on the CDM to project developers and other stakeholders in Thailand. And I myself visited TGO office for the first time in 2008. And I remember that at that time, the TGO office was located at a small corner of the Monterey building, but it has expanded successfully since then, and it's just amazing indeed. And this second phase, the project for capacity development and climate change mitigation adaptation in Southeast Asia region. This phase 2 project was aimed at making the CITC, the Climate Change International Technical and Training Center, officially established and fully operational. With phase 2, we started to include the stakeholders in other countries in the region as our potential target beneficiary. The CITC was officially launched 2014, and then this phase 2 project started 2013, so 1 year before the establishment of the CITC, so that it covered all the necessary preparation works for the launch of the CITC, which included organizational framework, training needs assessment in the region, development of training curriculums and materials, and identification of resource persons in the region, and building network and so forth. So we covered all the necessary preparation works for the official launch of the CITC. And training, we also made sure that training started to be provided adequately for the regional stakeholders on climate change, and also made sure the CITC became fully operational. And in third phase, the project for capacity development to accelerate low carbon resilience and society realization in Southeast Asia region. The purpose was further upgrade the CITC so that it came to be known as one-stop training center on climate change in the region. Under this phase 3 project, we upgraded the number of training courses such as climate change, sustainable development, mitigation mechanism, GHG inventory, climate finance, and climate change legislation, regulation, policies and measures, and so forth. So as indicated by those course titles, the training provided by CITC covered a number of elements that are relevant to potential formulation of the regional carbon market. And in the course of the implementation of this phase, we faced an outbreak of COVID-19, but we collaborated in applying the online training method, and so that the CITC continued to provide training for the regional stakeholders without major interruptions. This slide shows the evolution of the cooperation between TGO and JICA. We faced, and in the course of the 3 phases of cooperation, we faced a number of significant changes on climate change policies and instruments at the global, regional, and national levels. We captured all those significant changes and integrated into the activities under our cooperation. And in the course of the collaboration, I think the nature of the relationship between TGO and JICA has evolved as well. And I am sure that the TGO and JICA are now strategic partners in its true sense for promoting climate actions in the Southeast Asia. And I like to mention that the CITC, since the end of phase 3, the CITC has further strengthened and now rebranded into as the Climate Action Academy. And I like to take this opportunity to congratulate for that. And this is my last slide. The cooperation between TGO and JICA keep going forward. May this year, the high-level delegation on climate change of the government of Thailand kindly visited our headquarters in Japan, Tokyo. And we had a discussion for exploring the further collaboration on climate change. And in fact, one of the immediate outcomes of the discussion is actually co-organizing this event with TGO and other organizations. And most recently, just last month, we had a training session in Japan to share the practices and technology being applied on the ground in Japan to achieve net zero. We invited a number of officials from the relevant ministries and agencies of the government of Thailand, which included TGO as well. And lastly, we are planning to organize the third country training through TGO on carbon market. And on this, I'm sure that Suzuki-san will give explanation or more details during the panel session. So with this, I'd like to close my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawanishi. Your extensive presentation on JICA cooperation with TGO. It has a 3-phase cooperation, and I'm pleased to learn still the further collaboration activity visiting Japan from TGO people or something already still ongoing. So, okay, let's move to discussion session. So we have 50 minutes to go, and we have 4 speakers from now. So again, we all learn the progress of the carbon market in ASEAN countries in this seminar. We are happy to learn, and those progress is quite remarkable, but situation is different one country to another country, and we still face to further capacity building to establish or utilize fully carbon market measure in relation to Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And of course, maybe we may direct to have some regional carbon market in the future. But for this direction, but still again, we would like to learn more experience or situation, country experience from speakers today. So first, I would like to invite Dr. Pawina from the TGO. She's a manager of the Carbon Credit Certification Office. She has extensive experience on JCM and other carbon market. She has a great experience on carbon market, and we would like to have her presentation to learn a lot of the Thailand carbon market development experience, including TIBA or other key initiative. So floor is yours. Around 10 minutes, please.
Thank you, Dr. Jun. For the current preparation status for the Thailand carbon market in line with Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, first of all, I would like to introduce to you about the overview of Thailand carbon market structure. That the carbon credits in our Thailand carbon credit registry system, right now we have both credits from GSM projects and also the TIVA program, that is our domestic program for carbon credit mechanism. So the credits in our registry system can be traded. Actually, the first method is the over-the-counter. It means that when the buyer wants to buy the credits, the sellers will transfer the credits in the account to the seller's account. And in case that the sellers don't want to get the credits, like they just want to offset the carbon footprint, the buyer want to use the credits for offset the carbon footprint. The seller just transfer the credits to the cancellation account. Or some cases, the buyer want to voluntarily cancel the credits. So the sellers also transfer the credits in their holding account to the cancellation account. This is the first method of trading carbon credits in Thailand. And right now, as Kun Nati mentioned yesterday, that we have the trading platform developed by the Federation of Thai Industries. For this exchange platform, the carbon credits from our registry system will transfer to the registry account in exchange. And then there are some buyers want to buy the credits, like the platform matching the buyer and the seller. And when they want to do the transaction, the carbon credits from the registry account will transfer back to the holding account of the buyer. So this is the way that we trade carbon credits in Thailand. And there will be some linkage to the payment system of the commercial bank soon. So, and next, the credits that I mentioned about JCM credits and also the TIFA credits. For TIFA credits, we have two standards right now. The first one is the standard TIFA that we developed since 2014. And some of the knowledge is come from the JICA training that we also learn about the mitigation activities and also how to do the MRV for the emission reduction. So, and after the adoption of Article 6 in 2021, we developed the premium TIFA in order to provide a high quality carbon credits to the market. So the principle of premium TIFA follows the rules, modalities, and procedures of Article 6.4. That is, the project activities shall be additional to business as usual. And the baseline that used for calculate the emission reduction shall be below BAU. business as usual. And the project participant, I mean the project developer, shall conduct a local stakeholder consultation in order to assure that the local people will be participate in the project design. And the project shall do no net harm to the local communities and shall contribute to the SDG. And finally, the mitigation outcome shall be permanent. But in near future, maybe we will add like a carbon label, additional label to, in case that the project, I mean the forest project, want to like an additional label for FPIC, the free prior informed consent. I mean that in case that the forest project wants to assure that they not violate the human rights of the local people around the project area, they shall get the informed consent from the local people near the projects. And for the projects that can share benefits from the projects to the local communities, maybe we will provide the like additional tax for this kind of credits. So what I just want to tell you is that right now Thailand have the carbon credit management guideline and mechanism that I want to will explain more details in next slide. The guidelines is prepared by the ONEP, the Office of National Resources and Environmental Planning and Policy. And because right now we have like a new department called Department of Climate Change and Environment that will responsible for this, the implementation of this guideline. And for TGO, because we are the scheme owner, we also have some regulation in order to operate TVER program. Because in order, if the buyer wants to use carbon credits from our legislative system for the international purposes, like for NDC or for CORSIA, the first thing that they should have is the authorization. I mean, they need to propose the projects to the National Committee on Climate Change Policy and then approval by the cabinet before they can request for registration or issue the credits in our legislative system. That's the way in case that you want to use carbon credits for international purposes. And this is what we do right now. That the first thing is that we have the joint crediting mechanism with the Japanese government, and we are in the process of prepare the new memorandum of cooperation in order to integrate Article 6 rules in the memorandum of cooperation. And also we have the rules of procedures and rules of implementation that will be aligned with Article 6. And we also have the bilateral cooperation with Swiss Federation, that is the e-bus project that Vicky just described to you. And we also have the technical explorations, ICI Spark 6C, that Marshall just explained to the floor. And we submit premium TVER for evaluation to be an eligible program that the credits can be used for all CORSIA offsetting. So this is my final slide. I just to show you the overview of the our system. That's from the adoption of Article 6, we have the Thailand's carbon credit management guideline mechanism that we try to provide the guidelines that to align with the Article 6, that in case that the buyer wants to use the credits with, like for NDC or for CORSIA, they shall be follow our national guideline. And our national guideline is like a rules for our country, both for the scheme like TVER, for premium TVER, the project type and eligibility criteria follows the guideline, and also for our legislative system that the authorization process and also the corresponding adjustment. I mean, the registrar will report that how many credits that we transfer for international purposes. And also our national insurer will will apply the corresponding adjustment in order to according to the guidelines. So, and as I just mentioned about JCM, that the JCM projects in our existing pipeline, will follow the JCM guide, the JCM rules, but for the new project, it shall be registered and issued under premium TIFR because we want to, like for Swiss Confederation, we issue the credits under TIFR program. So in future, I mean that any projects that want to use the carbon credits for international purposes shall be registered with premium TIFR under premium TIFR program. That's all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pawina. A great presentation. We could learn a lot from the status on the Thailand carbon market, including your effort to enhance quality of credit, including premium TIBA system. I'm very impressed the JCM also link with the premium TIBA project. We should align with this premium system in the future. So since our time is limited, I would like to propose the Q&A session after all speaker made presentation. Please keep a question for later session of Q&A session. So from now, I would like to invite online speakers. So first, I would like to invite Mr. Takayuki Shigematsu from Ministry of the Environment, Japan. As Pawina-san explained, Japan and Thailand doing the cooperation of JCM, and I expect to learn something, the latest progress of the JCM from him, and he will talk about towards the establishment of the regional carbon market, current status, challenge, and future prospect. Mr. Shigematsu, time is yours. Are you available?
Yes. Thank you, Ichihara-san, for your introduction. This is Takayuki Shigematsu from NOJ. Can you hear my voice?
Yes. Please continue.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so I will start my presentation. But first of all, it's my great honor to speak in this workshop with a great appreciation to JICA and TGO for inviting me. Today, I'd like to briefly introduce the overview of JCM joint credit mechanism and other initiatives related to carbon markets as a base for discussing any further opportunity and expectation for the development of regional carbon market in the ASEAN region. Japan has been implementing the JCM for 10 years, and its accumulated knowledge and experience should contribute to the regional carbon development in this region. Just for your information, under the ASEAN-Japan Climate Change Action Agenda 2.0, promotion and scaling up of JCM project, including through the mobilizing private finances, recognized as a key component to accelerate decarbonization. Building on that, recently new initiative Space Strategic Program for ASEAN Climate and Environment was launched this August, and capacity building for the implementation of Article 6 towards the high integrity carbon market was included for further collaboration. So next slide, please. So I will just start by presentation for the introduction of JCM. JCM is a bilateral crediting mechanism which aims to facilitate diffusion of leading decarbonization technology through the investment of Japan's entity, thereby contributing to GHG emission reduction or removals and the sustainable development in partner countries. JCM also contributes to achieve Japan's and the partner countries' NDC while ensuring the avoidance of double counting through the corresponding assessment, which is consistent with the Article 6.2 guidance on cooperative approaches adopted in the COP26. Next slide, please. So next, I'd like to show some important progress on JCM in 10 years since 2013. Now we have 28 partner countries all over the world, and adding 11 countries in Africa and Central Asia and Caucasus region since the last year's summer 2022, and aiming to up to 30 countries by 2025. And about 100 methodologies are developed under JCM, and currently over 240 projects has been formulated through the JCM, and the estimated emission reduction by those expected project is around 20 million tons of CO2 against the 100 million tons of CO2 target by 2030. And one of the major progresses under JCM is to implement the mechanism consistent with the Article 6.2 guidance on cooperative approaches, which includes the institutional arrangement for authorization of JCM credit, applying corresponding adjustment to avoid double counting, and also consistent with the sustainable development objectives. We have discussing with the JCM partner countries to revise the current JCM rules and guidelines, as Dr. Pavina mentioned. For example, Thai-Japan Joint Committee discussed and consented the contents of the new memorandum of cooperation, which is consistent with Article 6, and we will proceed to domestic procedure for signing. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates the concrete example of JCM project, which Ministry of Environment is currently providing financial support. The major decarbonizing technologies supported by the JCM are renewable energy and energy efficiency improvement, which covers almost 80% of total number of projects. However, together with the expansion and the development of JCM, there has been emerging other areas such as waste management, biomass, and transport, and so on. And even on the solar power project, we have selected those projects which contribute to farming on the ground or introduce the floating solar power system, as in the photograph. And also, amorphous transformers in power distribution system has been expanded from Vietnam to Lao PDR under the JCM project as a good example for the spatial distribution in this region. So next slide, please. In order to implement JCM, Japan has offering various types of supporting program throughout the JCM project cycle. Japan not only supports the implementation of JCM by providing the technology, but also supporting measurement, reporting, and verification with MRB of GHG emission reduction in constructive manner, together by forming joint committee with partner countries, as well as developing registry system to manage and transfer credits. In order to develop the regional carbon market, those capacity building for proceeding project cycle and the infrastructure plays a very important role as a basis for the regional collaboration. So next slide. This is the last slide in my presentation. So in this slide, I'd like to emphasize for further collaboration the element which is enhancing integrity in carbon market. Under the G7 presidency this year, the principle of high integrity carbon markets were adopted at the ministerial meeting and endorsed at the G7 summit. High integrity carbon markets can advance the ambitious climate goals, but assuring the insurance and claiming the credit are consistent with the pathway toward overall net zero emission. Also, high-integrity carbon markets require several conditions relating to the generation of credit, which is supply-side integrity, as the use of those credits, demand-side integrity, as well as the trading environment, which is market integrity. So there are some elements which we have discussed among G7 countries to be considered in each element to enhance and ensure the integrity in carbon markets. So for further expansion of carbon market in the ASEAN region, I believe that there should be two important elements should be considered. One is the capacity building and the development of infrastructure as a basis for operationalized carbon market. The second one is the consideration for environmental integrity. Article 6 framework also provides the robust framework on environmental integrity, and high integrity carbon market will mobilize more finance to achieve more ambitious target. Later, Mr. Kwakutsu will introduce the Article 6 implementation partnership as a platform to support capacity building and we hope to expand the regional collaboration for further development. Thank you for your attention, and this is the end of my presentation. So back to you, Ichihara-san.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shigematsu, for your presentation. I'm very pleased to learn JCM is still progressing, including the more number of the partner country, and thank you for sharing your view on the how to ensure the high quality carbon credit, ensuring the high integrity, environment integrity. Thank you very much. So let's move to next speaker from Singapore. We have Mr. Wong. Thank you for waiting. So he's the Senior Assistant Director in Energy and Climate Policy in Ministry of Sustainability and the Environment, Singapore. Mr. Wong leads a carbon pricing team in the ministry to review the Singapore carbon tax regime and develop framework to access the high quality international carbon credit. Mr. Wong, time is yours.
Hi, thank you. Can I just do a sound check?
Yes, very clear. Thank you very much. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the organizers, TGO and JICA, for inviting me today to share about Singapore's experience on carbon markets and Article 6. So as many of you would know, Singapore is a very small country. I would say less than half the size of Bangkok, in fact. We are also one of the most densely populated countries in the world. So due to our size and geography, we have very limited alternative energy options, and we face a lot of limitations on our climate action measures. Nevertheless, we did step up our efforts against climate change. In November 2022, we committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. And to support this higher ambition, we are also raising our carbon tax to strengthen the price signal and impetus for decarbonization across our economy. We also announced our international carbon credit framework, which is that starting from 2024, next year, our companies may use high-quality international carbon credits to offset up to 5% of their taxable emissions in lieu of paying the carbon tax. So this ensures that the industry will continue to prioritize emissions reduction while catalyzing the development of well-functioning carbon markets in Singapore and the region. So now let me share more on this international carbon credit framework, also known as the ICC framework. Now I'll start with our environmental integrity policy. So just last month, Singapore announced our eligibility criteria for international carbon credits, or ICCs, that will be accepted for carbon tax offsets. Singapore's eligibility criteria require ICCs to, first and foremost, comply with Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And they have to meet 7 principles to demonstrate that they are of high environmental integrity, namely, that the emissions reductions or removals have to be additional, real, quantified and verified, permanent, the projects result in no net harm or cost leakage, and finally, the credits are not double counted between the host country and Singapore. Now, this eligibility criteria was developed in close consultation with the industry and non-governmental organizations over several months and take reference from some of the most reputable international standards, such as CORSIA. The criteria is published in our carbon pricing legislation and will be reviewed periodically to align with developments in Article 6 and high integrity carbon markets. By the end of the year, we will also develop and publish an eligibility list of countries, carbon crediting programs, and methodologies to inform companies more clearly on the ICCs which will be accepted. So while we have established our eligibility criteria, the supply and trading of the ICCs are only possible with effective international collaboration and partnerships. It is important that we recognize that carbon credit collaboration between countries is not simply transactional or about buying and selling credits, but they should be mutually beneficial. Carbon credit projects should enable countries involved to unlock new mitigation potential and achieve our respective climate commitments. At the same time, such projects should promote sustainable development, facilitate increased investments, and create jobs in the green economy. Other just as important co-benefits include environmental and biodiversity protection, as well as technology transfer in the host country. Based on the framework for Article 6 collaboration, Singapore has signed MOUs with 13 countries with the aim of progressing them to bilateral implementation agreements to facilitate trading of carbon credits, high-quality carbon credits with corresponding adjustments. And we look forward to collaborate with other like-minded countries to advance robust Article 6 cooperation. So the third and final area I'd like to touch on is the development of the broader carbon services ecosystem in Singapore. We are keen to foster transparent and robust ecosystems to fully harness the potential of carbon markets in the region. Singapore has been an active participant in shaping global standards and practices. For example, through co-facilitating the ministerial consultations on the rulebook for Article 6. We are also building platforms to enable countries to build capabilities and exchange their experiences and knowledge in carbon markets. One example is how Singapore and New Zealand jointly organized the Article 6.2 Capacity Building Workshop for ASEAN member states to enhance understanding of the Article 6 rulebook and the workings of high-integrity carbon markets. We've also launched our Sustainability Action Package under the Singapore Cooperation Programme, which puts a broader focus on sustainability under our capacity building efforts, including sharing of best practices on carbon markets. And today we see over 100 organizations providing carbon services in our ecosystem, which we hope to continue growing to benefit the development of high-integrity market in the region. So I'll come to my last slide, and this is really just to summarize what I've shared on Singapore's ICC frameworks, on the three aspects of our policy framework, our international partnerships, and how we are developing the carbon services ecosystem. So I'll just pass the time back to the moderator, and I look forward to our discussions later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wong. It's a very comprehensive presentation. We learned the carbon tax system of Singapore yesterday, but this presentation gives us more bigger picture on the progress of the Singapore latest carbon market measures. Thank you very much. Great presentation. We learned something key issue like eligibility criteria, and we learned the Singapore pursuing the international cooperation and conducting capacity building activity as well. Very pleased to learn about it. So let's move the next speaker. Final speaker is Mr. Kazuhisa Koakutsu, Director of Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center. We had a presentation by Mr. Ping in the earlier session, but he could give us a more concrete view on some specific activity, potentially in the ASEAN region or other country or area. So I would like to invite Mr. Koakutsu. You have 10 minutes. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Ichiro-san. Can you hear me well?
Yes, very clear.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to thank organizer, Thai Greenhouse Gas Organization, TGO, and also JICA to invite us to speak. And also, very greeting to all of you. See some familiar faces. And apologies that I'm not be there. As I was in Bonn last week, tried to finalize Article 6 rules So still busy for finalizing Article 6, but at the same time, very much looking forward to see all the current developments happening around the world, and also especially in the regions in ASEAN, try to implement Article 6 and the carbon market. I think our colleague, Mr. Pin-san, previous session already introduced some of our activities. So I'm trying to focus my points, which hopefully could supplement to discussion today in this session. So next slide, please. So we are the partnership called Paris Agreement Article 6 Partnership Implementation, which was launched in the last COP27. Our aim is to really how we can collectively support implementation of Article 6. And Article 6 was called so-called the last piece in the article in the Paris Agreement. We have quite a lot, spent a lot of time in negotiating this important article, and we spent additional 3 years to finalize this article. So our aim is to really, we need to accelerate the pace for the implementation of Article 6. Why Article 6 is important? Because this is the foundation for the Paris Agreement to achieve our collective goal of 2 degrees as well as 1.5 degrees. And this will ensure the environmental integrity, especially for the avoidance of double counting through the enabling corresponding adjustment. I heard many countries and participants talk about the corresponding adjustment. This is the only way through the Article 6 the countries could be able to make corresponding adjustments. So that is why this Article 6 is really important. And also, this Article 6 enables international cooperation. So together, we will try to pursue the achievement of Paris Agreement goal, which is currently not enough. By accumulating all the NDC, we are still not in the path towards our net zero target, and still not enough to achieve Paris Agreement goal. So our really aim to enable this Article 6 so that we can try to fill the gap for the for the goal of a Paris Agreement. So we have launched in COP27, and as you can see, this is a collective efforts between the government in the countries as well as the regional collaboration center or regional alliances, including maybe ASEAN countries, and also international organizations and UN organizations. We try to bring everybody together to support the implementation of Article 6. And we have a strong collaboration with the UNFCCC Secretariat, which are also mandated to provide capacity building for the Article 6, as well as the World Bank, which has been already accumulating quite a long years of supporting the carbon market. So next slide, please. So this year, Japan has a presidency of the G7, and we have established the Article 6 Implementation Partnership Center. We have established the partnership, but also we need a secretariat to drive these partnerships to actual implementation for the activities. At the same time, G7 this year was adopted so-called principle for the high integrity carbon market. So our aim is to how the carbon market could align these Paris goals. So we have a voluntary market, we have a compliance market, we have CORSIA, and there are many domestic markets. So the question is how those markets could align in achievement of our common goal. So for us, the alignment to the Article 6 is a one answer to achieve this high integrity market. So this principle of high integrity carbon market really defines, at least from our point of view, what do we mean by high integrity carbon markets from supply integrity and demand integrity and market integrity. Next slide, please. So we have right now 69 countries. We are very much looking forward to welcoming any partner countries to join. Again, for us, all the parties to the Paris Agreement can be supported. So in the previous session, I was also hear some of the questions regarding whether some countries are eligible or not. For us, all the countries to the Paris Agreement are eligible for the implementation of Paris Agreement, Article 6, because that's what the Article 6 is really aiming for. So we are really expecting more countries to join, and more countries means more ambition and more opportunities. So we look forward to more countries to join, but already we have quite a lot of countries which can work together. Next slide, please. Just to show you that we also have many UN agencies, many regional banks, and all the multilateral banks, and many research organizations who are working already for the implementation of NDC, for the implementation of Article 6. They have all the expertise. So I think this is really a good platform already. So the question how to bring everybody together to really complement and also create more synergies, and also maybe creating more opportunities for the countries to support. So next slide, please. So for this, I'd like to also mention important points when it comes to the implementation of Article 6. 3 areas are important, especially for the participation. One is the authorization. This authorization enables those credits to be transferred to other countries under the Article 6. So this is the kind of first step for the credit to be recognized under Article 6. So the countries need to develop authorization, institutional arrangements, as well as the procedures. I think this could be also different by country. So first establishment of this authorization. And the second is the reporting. The reporting also has 3 layers of reporting, starting from initial report, annual information, and biannual information, which is called regular information. This will enable corresponding adjustment. So as I mentioned, corresponding adjustment is a very much foundation for the avoidance of double counting under Article 6. This reporting is a foundation. And the tracking, the third point, tracking is the basis for the reporting. So there are so-called registries which tracks those international transfer. So this registry could provide the basis for the information to be provided. So initially, we also try to support those 3 elements by developing capacity building tools, by providing all the opportunities for the countries to engage. And this is a participation requirement for the Article 6. So I just wanted to mention those 3 areas are really important for the Article 6. Next slide, please. So this one, we also aim to start launching this so-called support package. I think also in the previous session, already many activities are ongoing. So our aim is to bring everybody on board. And how to do this? We would like to create a process where some country provide interest to join. We are happy to accommodate. And some countries are already engaging, so we are trying to not to avoid the application. Some countries try to provide some support. We are happy to accommodate such support to provide more opportunities. So this is the more of all the countries and institutions engagement. We are trying to create a process whereby so that any countries interested in Article 6 can participate. So next slide, please. This was already mentioned in the previous slide. So again, the aim of the Article 6 is to enhance and achieve mitigation NDC, achievement NDC, as well as enhancement NDC. So the question for us is to what extent Article 6 can really achieve or enhance, which needs to be seen by the 2025, which is the next NDC update cycle. So we would like to bring everybody together to work in 2 years and to see to what extent we can really bring this Article 6 in operationalization, and to what extent Article 6 really brings our enhancement of the NDC towards the collective goal of Paris. So this is a challenge, but at the same time, this is opportunity. So with that, I'd like to finish my presentation. I think last slide is my last slide presentation. So thank you, and this Article 6 implemented partnership is always open to any countries, any institutions, any stakeholders who wanted to engage Article 6 so that we can work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kootsu, for your presentation. And I learned your key activity of capacity building, and you see a lot of the needs of capacity development for utilize the Article 6 of Paris Agreement. Yeah, since time to time, rule is changed. I personally started my career with CDM capacity building, but rule is changed, international rule or situation change, new development, always new capacity development needs. And there are many donor organizations here, so I think many rules for collaboration for future capacity building, including TGO or Article 6 Center or JICA or other countries like Singapore as a panelist I see today. So thank you for your patience. I would like to take a question from floor. Do you have any question from the presentation or speech so far? Thank you, Malaysia. Next, Myanmar, please.
Thank you all panelists. I mean physical and also online panelists, very great presentation. So actually I have a simple question to the first, to the panelists from Thailand, basically. Yeah, from Thailand. So two simple questions. So you mentioned that in the future you will be considering forest projects but need an additional label. So you mentioned about the FPIC, about the prior informed consent. But do you also, in my knowledge, the other international voluntary standards, voluntary carbon market standards, they also try to integrate the CCB, community and climate and biodiversity components, standards inside there. So is Thailand is considering this into the forestry-based project as well, which will conservation, climate conservation and biodiversity standards, the CCB, yeah, apart from the FPIC. And then also I'm interested to hear also you mentioned about the TIVA that you're going to submit the TIVA to be considered under the CORSIA to be one of the CORSIA eligible units to be traded for the aviation sector. So this is something that I think very important also to the countries, because apart from the climate targets to meet our NDC and for other international mitigation purpose, we can use also these credits to meet the other conventions, the targets established under the convention, for example, the CORSIA for the aviation sectors, etc. So I would like to know what is the progress of discussion about this with the ICAO, basically with the International Civil Aviation Authority, and then, yeah, thank you. That's all my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Myanmar, do you have question? Yes, please continue.
Okay, thank you, moderator and the all panelists. Yeah, very interesting points. So I have some questions. First question to the Thailand. you mentioned about the CDM, CER, DNA. And in this regard, do you have any project under Kyoto Protocol mechanism? If yes, may I have your experience in CER or carbon credit share between you as a host party and a developed partner country? And may I have your experience after transition from CDM to SDM? And how do you manage to meet your NTC target as you are trading carbon credit? Because according to the Article 6.4, DNA TOR, DNA has responsibility to manage to meet their target from the CDM or SDM projects. And this question also goes to the JICA as well. And last panelist, so I would like to know whether DNA responsibility is in line with CDM, SDM, and GCM, yeah, or different. Yeah, thank you.
So your question to Thailand and JICA. Okay. And about the difference of JCM and CDM, I would like to invite Shigematsu-san later. So Ms. Wawina, could you?
The question of our Malaysian colleague. For the additional label or tag that we will put it with the serial number of the credits that meet the requirements of the additional label. Firstly, we think about CCB because we are under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. We also have another organization, public organization, that do the work with biodiversity. But after we have a discussion, maybe we still maybe next phase. But for the FPIC and the benefit sharing, we are asked by the buyer, a potential buyer that interested to buy the TOR credits, and they asked that can we provide credits with the EPIC and also the benefit sharing. So, but we think that maybe for a forest project, it's not every project that can meet the requirements, like it up to the project area, the conditions of the project area. Like if it's the case that the land is encroached by the local people, maybe we cannot get the consent from them. So we just an option for the projects that want to get the label to do the FPIC and also the benefit sharing. So that's the first question. And for the second question about about COSIA, COSIA, the ICAO have the tab technical, if I'm not wrong, advisory body, something like that. And we already passed submit the application, also the additional clarification, also the interview in August, and we are waiting for the results, maybe in early next year. So, and we expected that the allies registered in Thailand that have international flight and submit the verified emission report and need to use the carbon credits can use the preemptive credits for offsetting.
Thank you very much. For the Myanmar, could you elaborate what kind of project question to the address to JICA?
My questions also go to the Thailand as well. I asked Thailand whether you have experience with the let's say as CDM projects mechanism. Because you are now working carbon trading system. And in this case, according to the Article 6.4 DNA, how do you manage your credits without contributing or by contributing to your NDC target? Yeah.
So for CDM, because CDM maybe in case of Thailand, the after 2012, there are just one project that registered as a CDM project. So it's not active in case of Thailand because some projects already transfer to like for VCS or for gold standards. They change, they deregister and then register with VCS or gold standard. So, and for the transition of CDM projects to Article 6 projects, right now, because in case of Thailand, because we are the designated national authority and we also have the monitoring work, it means that every project that already issued the credits or register, we will have like an annual monitoring. So we always correspond with them and we don't have any requests about the transition to Article 6.4 mechanism. So for the transition in case of CDM in Thailand right now, we don't have any request. And we not appointed the designated national authority for Article 6.4. So in case of the transition, maybe we should wait until Thailand have the DNA.
Thank you very much. So I would like to invite Mr. Shigematsu to explain the difference of JCM and CDM. And after that, I would like to ask all panelists very quickly, about 30 seconds, what kind of capacity building is necessary in your view or any planned capacity building activity in the future? I would like to ask one by one. So Mr. Shigematsu, could you start? Shigematsu-san. Now, could you say again now? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So I will answer very briefly. JCM has been developed by the experience building on the experience of CDM, and we took the almost same procedure for the project cycle, program registration, and third-party verification and monitoring, and also for verified by the third party. But JCM is a bilateral mechanism. So, but we would like to discuss any opportunity for the third party participation for JCM. But basically, the JCM is a bilateral mechanism. So this is a very big difference between those mechanisms. But the procedure is almost same. But I would like to invite Mr. Cox. So maybe you would like to add some words, Cox-san. If any.
Yeah.
On the JCM, sorry to.
Yeah, on the JCM and CDM.
Yes, I think. Yes, JCM is a bilateral mechanism, while the CDM is under the Kyoto Protocol. And maybe this is just to respond to also the distinguished participant from Myanmar. So the CDM is under the Kyoto Protocol, and Article 6 and Paris Agreement, we have a so-called Article 6.4 mechanism. So it's a different mechanism. So for the transition from the CDM, if the project is wanted to transition to Paris mechanism, there is a transition procedure. And also there is a kind of a deadline for such application for the transition. So I just wanted to mention that this end of this year is a deadline for at least application for the transition needs to be made end of this 2023. And also for the government to manage or to be the designated body for the 6.4 mechanism, you also need to establish the DNA for the 6.4 that needs to be communicated through the UNFCCC Secretariat. I'm doing this because I'm also be the member of the 6.4 mechanism supervisory body. And I just wanted to mention that we have received around 300 projects being applied for the transition. But at the same time, and also we have adapted the procedure and rules for the such transition. But as a country, you also need to designate a DNA. Yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kawakutsu and Mr. Shigematsu. I would like to invite Mr. Wong. Any final remark or including potential capacity building for the future or any final words? Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I would say I think capacity building will apply not just to partner countries, but also project developers in those countries, preferably really to align to a common global standards to encourage high quality carbon credit projects. And I think Singapore will be very ready to work with like-minded partners, I think including all the esteemed speakers here and members here, Thailand, Japan, Article 6 implementation partnership in particular, and just continue working closely together. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shigematsu, any final words?
Thank
Can
you.
I? Okay.
Yeah. So as I mentioned in the presentation, so the basic capacity building and the development of infrastructure is the basis for the further development of each partner, each country's carbon market development, as well as the further collaboration between each country. So I heard some voices from the private sector that in Asian countries, so each country has developed their own carbon market. It makes a little bit complicated from the investor or project participants. So the key point is high integrity and alignment with Article 6 for the further development in the ASEAN region. So we like to further collaboration and discussion for the carbon market development in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite JICA colleague, Mr. Kawanishi first.
Thank you. Thank you, Echihara-san. And with respect to capacity development, and today I shared experiences of our capacity development cooperation at the regional scale through TGO. But at the same time, we have a number of bilateral cooperation for capacity development on climate change in this region. For example, we had a project with Indonesia so that they are able to better host and manage JCM projects. And also because of the corresponding adjustment, there is an increasing need for capacity development on GHG inventory. So we have a capacity development project on GHG inventory with Vietnam and Indonesia, but also we are going to sign the agreements, I hope, hopefully very soon with the government of Malaysia to start a cooperation on GHG inventory. And also right now with Vietnam, we are working on together on MRV and facility level online reporting system of GHG emissions. So we have a number of bilateral collaborations projects. And the lessons learned, I hope, will be shared through TGO with other regional partners. So I hope we can collaborate further. And thank you very much, Ichihara-san.
Mr. Suzuki, do you have?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so please show us one slide, please. Yeah, so JICA now, so yeah, planning so our regional training program on this ASEAN inclusive program for ambitious climate action through international market-based approaches. Yeah, we are now discussing with Thailand International Cooperation Agency and Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization. We'd like to have this training program or a conference in next year, and yeah, content, and so yeah, for this program, we will discuss in detail after this conference. And we'd like to have this opportunity, so around 1 year later. For that, we'd like to have your cooperation to have valuable program for ASEAN member countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, yeah, time is up. I would like to invite Mr. Kwok too, but I think I'm so busy due to my time management. This is, yeah, time is up, so I would like to close this session, and thank you very much for your kind attention, and please give a big hand for all speakers for this session. Thank you very much.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you very much and thank you for the moderator of this session, Ms. Dr. Jun Ishihara. Thank you for moderating this session. Thank you very much. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for all the speakers and moderators along the 2 days. We have learned a lot from you. Thank you for sharing your experience, your insight with us. And of course, for the last sessions, I'd like to say that thank you very much for our co-hosts and our partners, including Ministry of National Resources and Environment of Thailand, Department of Climate Change and Environment, Thailand Greenhouse Gas Management Organization or TGO, UNFCCC Regional Cooperation Center or UNFCCC RCC. Thank you for Global Green Growth Institute or GGGI. Thank you for Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA. Thank you for British Embassy Bangkok and the Embassy of Switzerland to Thailand. And of course, for the last section, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Julie Moroso Gavin, Regional Lead of UNFCCC RCC Asia Pacific, will be the representative of our co-host to deliver the closing remarks. A big round of applause to welcome Miss Julie. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a big round of applause to welcome Miss Julie.
Distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as we officially close the ASEAN Carbon Pricing Conference, hosted by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment of Thailand, in collaboration with valuable partners such as the British Embassy, the Switzerland Federal Agency of Foreign Affairs, the Global Green Growth Institute, and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, I am filled with a profound sense of gratitude and optimism. This remarkable event has served as a milestone in our collective journey towards a more sustainable and climate-resilient future. On behalf of the UN Climate Change Regional Collaboration Center for Asia and the Pacific, allow me to express our heartfelt appreciation to all the individuals and organizations who have contributed to the success of this conference. The collaborative efforts of the ASEAN member states, the dedicated expertise of our distinguished speakers and panelists, and the active participation of our esteemed audience have truly made this event an enriching and insightful experience. Throughout the course of this conference, we have engaged in stimulating discussions and meaningful exchanges centered around the crucial theme of carbon pricing and its pivotal role in advancing climate action within the ASEAN region. These sessions, focusing on critical topics such as policy integration, national carbon pricing design, and institutional frameworks, examples on carbon trading platforms, innovations and technologies, as well as building partnerships through market-based cooperation, have provided us with a comprehensive understanding of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in our pursuit of a sustainable future. The rich diversity of perspectives and experiences shared during this conference has not only enriched our collective knowledge, but has also strengthened our resolve to foster regional collaboration and promote the effective implementation of carbon pricing initiatives. The commitment demonstrated by each of the ASEAN member states present here, along with the valuable insights provided by our development partners and the private sector, serve as a testament to our shared vision of a greener and more sustainable future. As we part ways and return to our respective jobs, let us carry forward the lessons learned, the innovative ideas exchanged here, and the valuable connections that we've established during this two-day conference. Let us remain committed to integrate carbon pricing mechanisms into our national policies, strategies, and frameworks in alignment with our nationally determined contributions and long-term climate strategies. Let us continue to foster partnerships and collaborations that transcend borders and sectors with the shared goal of accelerating the transition towards a net zero emissions future. In conclusion, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for your commitment and for sharing your experiences and your active engagement throughout this conference. And thank you, and may your journey back be safe and filled with the same spirit of determination that you have shared during this event. ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you ค่ะ Miss Julie. So before we're going to have lunch together, ladies and gentlemen, I have something to inform you a little bit. Firstly, after this conference finish, we are going to issue the proceeding and send to all ASEAN delegates email that you already give us when you register, okay? The second thing is that let me remind you once again about our QR code at the registration. You can scan the QR code or take the photo of that QR code first, because after our conference finish, we are going to upload all the photos along the 2 days and some slides presentations from our speakers to all of you later, okay? And the third thing is that the afternoon section, we are going to have the special sections on UK Net Zero by Miss Emma Ovens, starting at, we postponed the time a little bit to be later, 1:45 start, 1:45 start. So if you'd like to join us, please proceed to Nana Meeting Room on the fourth floor, okay? Nana Meeting Room on the fourth floor, start at 1:45. I would like to encourage all of you to join us. As you can see right now, this is our amazing special sections, UK Net Zero, Engagement Lead Skills Chair. And the last one, let's have lunch together. You hungry? Okay, the same room on the 5th floor, which is the Market Restaurant. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, see you again later. Enjoy your time in Thailand. ขอบคุณค่ะ